WDAF, Kansas City.
Dan Henry, WDAF Local News at 11. The outlook for Kansas City, mild. The Missouri House and Senate are meeting in extra sessions tonight in order to attempt to find agreement on the state's $2 billion budget. And there's talk that budgetary committees could be working all night. If Kansas City's area construction is to be stopped tomorrow by a full-scale strike, no one is saying so. Representatives of 10 major construction unions met behind closed doors today, but made no mention of an intended strike at the close of the meeting. Today, pickets were posted at several construction sites, stopping work on the Crosby-Kemper Memorial Arena and the new Convention Center complex in downtown Kansas City. School teacher strike talks continue under the auspices of federal mediator Burl Carlew. Today, teacher union president Norman Hudson was escorted from the Jackson County Jail to a negotiating session, then returned to his cell. The strike will be 38 days old tomorrow with no immediate end in sight.
On the hour from American Information Radio. This is Merrill Muller in Los Angeles, and at this hour, the Miami Herald Tuesday edition reports that President Nixon will risk impeachment and refuse to meet the House Judiciary Committee subpoena for 42 tapes and documents. The Miami Herald quotes an unnamed Republican source as saying the president is ignoring the advice of Republican leaders because he's confident of winning a Senate trial. The deadline on the committee's subpoena is Thursday. Meantime, the committee has sent a new message to the White House asking for other information. Chairman Peter Rodino told us in Washington there's even more to come.
I can say that it's not unlikely that requests will be going out. I instructed our counsel to specify what those requests are, and those requests would cover the areas that are within the general scope of our inquiry.
But Chairman Rodino also emphasized that future requests on the White House will have to be approved by the entire House Judiciary Committee. Democratic governors and congressmen talk of tax cuts. That story coming up.
This is Joan Crawford speaking for USO, United Service Organization. Do we, as civilians, know what it's like to be far from home in a foreign land? Listen to this real-life documentary about one of our servicemen over there.
Do you speak English?
Nein, ich spreche kein Englisch.
Excuse me, ma'am. I wonder if you could help me.
Nein, es tut mir leid.
Excuse me, miss. Can you help me?
Leider nicht.
Bitte schön. Yes, do you speak English?
Nein.
Excuse me. Can you help me?
Nein.
Excuse me. Can anybody help me?
Hi, we sure can. This is the USO. We have all kinds of help. That's why I support USO, and you should too. USO makes a man feel closer to home while he's serving his country for you. Isn't money the least you can give? Please support USO.
15 Democratic governors meeting in Chicago have urged Congress to write a tax relief plan for low and middle-income families, despite any objections by the administration. Correspondent Bob Clark has more on the talk of tax cuts in Washington.
It may just be spring fever, but sentiment for cutting taxes was bursting out all over on Capitol Hill today. During their Easter vacation, many members of Congress found the folks at home on the brink of rebellion over the combination of high taxes and runaway inflation. With the growing fear of recession adding to the gloomy economic picture, there's a sudden groundswell of support in Congress for tax relief to stimulate the economy. The Senate's Democratic leader, Mike Mansfield, says he's all for it. A proposal by Democratic Senators Mondale and Kennedy to raise the personal exemption and thus reduce everybody's income taxes is drawing sudden support from other members of Congress, including some key Republicans. Bob Clark, ABC News, Washington.
Veterans Administrator Donald Johnson has announced he will submit his resignation in the near future. Congressional leaders said after a White House meeting today, Johnson had already lost some authority in a department reorganization. American Telephone and Telegraph Board Chairman John DeButz has revealed in Atlanta that AT&T is seeking a 20-cent rate for paid telephones and a 10-cent charge for information in all states where it has not yet been approved. Indonesia's Minister of Communications has announced some survivors have been found at the site of a Pan American Airlines crash on the island of Bali. No numbers are announced. The plane reportedly fell with 107 persons aboard on its landing approach to Bali on Flight 812 from Hong Kong to Australia. Postal service to Canada has been halted at the request of the Ottawa government because of the strike by Canadian postal workers. This is Information Radio News. Senator Henry Jackson, in a New York speech, has urged the Nixon administration to seek a new agreement with the Soviet Union, sharply reducing nuclear missiles. Senator Jackson charged that U.S. security is endangered by administration efforts to reach what he called a cosmetic arms agreement this June. The head of the Petroleum Exporters Association has announced at the United Nations that oil prices will remain fairly stable until October, and then if inflation is worse, oil prices will go up again.
From the Kurt Murs Sports Desk, the Kansas City Royals lost to the Boston Red Sox 4-1 tonight. They'll try again tomorrow. The St. Louis Cardinals were idle today. They'll host Houston tomorrow. The Milwaukee Bucks play Chicago, and the Bucks leading the best-of-7 series 3-1. And the Kansas City Omaha Kings forward Ron Behagen has been named to the NBA All-Rookie team for 1974. The Kansas City outlook: fair and cool tonight with a low around 45, then mostly fair and warmer tomorrow with a high in the middle to upper 70s. Dan Henry, WDAF News.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. The fear you can hear. Somebody said it, I believe, or if he didn't, he should have. The world is neither good nor bad. 'Tis wishing makes it so. Our story is about a fey, elfin young woman who made her own world and who had a disturbing and fateful capacity to make her dreams come true. Not always in exactly the fashion or the dimension she wished for.
I'm warning you, you stop hanging on to me, Marge.
I got to, Tom. You just can't do it to us anymore.
Just lay off of me.
Tom, you can't do this again.
And I got the lot tonight. I can feel it all going for me.
The way you always feel. Please.
Marge, let go. You want to put the whammy on me? I said
Tom, you
let go. Marge, I didn't mean to push. Oh, Lord.
Ma? Pa, you killed her, Pa! You killed her dead!
Our mystery drama, The Wishing Stone, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Clarice Blackburn and William Prince. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
Hello, Ms. Goldilocks here, and welcome to my professional taste testing laboratory. Oh, Papa Bear, could you bring that case of sugar-free Diet 7-Up over here?
Another case? Miss Goldilocks, you're drinking this sugar-free Diet 7-Up like there's no tomorrow. You can't still be taste testing it.
Oh, no, Papa Bear. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up has already earned my seal of approval. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. I drink it because I love its taste. Now hurry up.
Okay, here.
This sugar-free Diet 7-Up really tastes delicious. Ladies, if you're tired of switching from one diet drink to another, take some advice from Ms. Goldilocks. Try sugar-free Diet 7-Up and you'll say, yes, this one's just right.
I'll bear witness to that, Goldie.
Project Hope is reaching out, bringing hope to more countries around the world this year than ever before. Newest addition to Hope's international programs is Ethiopia, where Project Hope's doctors, nurses, and other medical specialists will be working side by side with Ethiopians, teaching while they treat. Since 1960, Hope has trained more than 7,000 physicians, dentists, nurses, and other healthcare personnel, has helped establish new schools of nursing, dentistry, and physical therapy in several countries, and assisted in the development of hospitals, teaching institutions, and public health services. Hope's work has been heralded by heads of many nations, its services requested by many, many more.
Hope is training and sharing. Hope is treating and caring. Health is what hope's all about. Help Project Hope reach out.
Help Hope reach out. Right, Project Hope, Room A, Washington, D.C.
We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. That quote is definitely Mr. Shakespeare's. But our little life is equally founded, and sometimes confounded, on dreams, like the bad one Jenny Coulter had a few moments ago, and for which, fortunately, there is present comfort in the person of her mother, and in turn, her brother, Judd.
Jenny, you all right?
It's you, Ma. You. Oh, you all right?
Well, I'm fine, honey. What'd you have, a bad dream?
I suppose. Oh, now that I see you. Oh, Ma, it was so real. I saw you lying there at the bottom of the stairs, and your head, oh, it was turned to the side like...
Well, now, don't let it upset you. Here I am, right as rain, and it was only a dream.
But it was just like I saw it happen. He pulled his arm away from you while you were hanging on, and you went tumbling down.
He? Who's he?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, was it your father?
Yes.
Who else would it be?
Judd, what are you doing up?
I heard Jenny Lou cry out.
Oh, it was just a bad dream is all.
You okay, sis?
I'm just fine now.
You go on back to bed now, son.
What did you dream the old man did to Ma, Jenny?
Ma was trying to stop him from going out gambling again, and he sort of pushed her off him and she tumbled all the way downstairs.
Now, that's enough fussing about nothing now. You get back to bed, Judd.
Okay. Good night, Jenny.
Good night, Judd.
You want I should close the door, Ma?
No, I'm coming back to bed myself right away. You're not scared no more, are you, honey?
No. As long as I know you and Judd are close by. But I sure was scared.
Oh, my baby, you're just so sensitive. Everything touches you close like a little old butterfly sitting on a leaf with your feelers reaching out all a-tremble.
I like being butterfly. That's a pretty sort of thing to think on.
So you just keep thinking on it and hustle yourself back to sleep. Good night, Jenny.
Good night, Ma. I love you.
And I love you. Sleep tight.
Ma?
Sakes alive, Judd. You like to startle me out of my wits. Come away from Jenny's door. I thought I told you to go on back to bed.
Was you and Pa having an argument again tonight?
When?
Well, right now, that she might have heard.
Your father isn't even here. He went on out after you kids went to bed.
Yeah, I bet he's over to Stover's playing poker.
Oh, Tom don't mean what he does. He's sick.
Yeah, and so am I. I'm sick of him.
I'm here in the kitchen, Dr. Luther. How's Jenny?
Jenny Lou's just fine, Marge. She's getting dressed, and I'm going to drop her off at school on my way into town.
It ain't the encephalitis again.
You got to stop worrying about that, Marge.
It's not so easy. After last year getting put back one grade after missing all her classes.
It won't take her long to jump back where she belongs. That's a right smart little girl.
She used to be before.
That's what I want to talk to you about. If I've told you once, I've told you half a dozen times that Jenny was one of the lucky ones. She came through it without a scratch, physical or mental.
But such a long time.
It was a very mild case, even if it was stubborn and protracted.
It's just I worry so that she was somehow held back.
Now, I want you to get that clean out of your mind, once and for all.
But sometimes she seems so young.
Lord, what do you want her to be at 16? I don't know of anyone fresher and lovelier and more unspoiled than your little girl. She wants to cling to childhood a little longer. Leave her be.
Just so you're sure last year didn't hurt her none.
There's only one thing I worry about with Jenny.
What?
Your husband. Lord knows why, but she thinks the sun rises and sets in her father. When she settles for being a woman, she'll have to open her eyes as to what he really is.
Oh, Tom doesn't mean to hurt anyone, Doctor. You told me yourself that he's sick.
Yeah, I think it is a kind of sickness, but not one a doctor can treat.
What am I going to do?
I don't know, Marge. Oh, one thing I do know is I've got to go. People waiting at the office, but Tom is hurting all of you. Bad. Worse, maybe, than any of you realize. And in the end, Jenny will lose the one he'll hurt most of all.
Judd, that you?
Oh, yeah, Ma.
Is Jenny with you?
Oh, no, Ma.
Oh, where you been?
Baseball practice. Oh, why'd you think Jenny was with me?
'Cause she didn't come home after school. Judd isn't like her to just take off. You don't suppose she...
Well, she what, Ma?
That dream shook her up. And Tom and me had another bad set to this morning. She wouldn't run away.
Jenny? From us? No way.
Well, she was sort of strange when she left this morning with Dr. Luther. Kind of, I don't know, excited as if she had some secret plan. You know how she gets.
Secret? Yeah. I bet I know where she is.
Where?
Well, I can't tell you. I mean, it's her own secret place. Well, the only reason I know about it is I was out rabbit hunting one day and I stumbled across it. She goes there to bird watch and, well, just to be alone, I guess. Now, she made me promise I'd never tell just where. I'll bring her home. Jenny? Jenny? Jenny, what are you doing hiding out here?
I wasn't hiding. I just came here to say a little prayer.
Well, for who?
Pa.
Oh?
And the sun was shining in like a big splinter of light, the way it does through the hole in the tree up there. Remember how I always used to think when we was little kids that it was God stretching down his hand to touch us?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Don't say that, because he is there. He was here today. Leastways, one of his angels was.
What?
I was kneeling and looking up into the sun, and all of a sudden, the birds was all still, and the whole hidey-hole here filled up with golden light that sparkled and spun. And right over there, he was standing.
Who?
Him, the angel of the Lord. And I could feel him all around me, in me, warm and kind, so kind. Then he touched my hand and smiled and just faded away. And then I looked in my hand and I saw it. Oh, wait, I didn't lose it. Oh, no, here. This is what I found in my hand.
Well, let's see. Well, what is it?
It's a conjure stone, all gold and shiny. A stone I can wish on.
The angel said that?
He didn't have to. I heard the words inside me. You can wish on this, Jenny. You can have anything you want in the whole wide world. You just don't believe this is a wishing stone, Ma, do you?
Jenny, right to the moment, I just gotta say I'm so fussed and fumed about dinner being ready and you kids not, and your father ain't home, I can't hardly think straight about... Oh, Lordy, if my biscuits have risen, we're just going to have to sit and eat without Tom.
Jenny, don't bother Ma right now.
I just want to try my wishing stone. Wish something nice for her.
Well, let's just hold up for a better time.
I could wish Pa to hurry home, so he wouldn't have to wait.
I don't want to wait none at all. I got a math test tomorrow. I just got to pass or I don't make the ball team, and I need every minute to study. Except who am I kidding? If I stayed up all night, I wouldn't be ready for tomorrow.
If you had a few more days, could you make it?
Well, even just one, I'd stand a chance.
Okay, here goes.
No, hold up a minute.
Too late. Shh. I just wished there'd be no school tomorrow.
No school tomorrow? What nonsense is that? Jenny, go bring them biscuits. Judd, you sit down.
Ain't we gonna wait for Pa?
We ain't waiting for nothing, not even wishes to come true. We're going to eat our dinner before it spoils.
Yes, Ma. I'll get the biscuits.
You didn't have to be so rough on her, Ma. Play her game.
I know, Judd. It's just I have no sense of humor left, or fun. The way it is with us, if we had a wishing stone, we could use it for a lot better things than no school tomorrow. Ain't that crazy? The two of you have had me half believing there is a power in that stone.
Hi, Marge.
Tom?
Where are the kids?
As if you care. Gone to bed. Where have you been? What was the action tonight? Bingo? Horses? Pool?
Nope. Tonight I got a pretty fair excuse. The only thing I was gambling was my life.
What's that supposed to mean?
I've been a volunteer helper at a fire. Now it's finally out. I couldn't hardly wait to get home and tell the kids the good news.
What good news?
The school burned down. Good news for the kids everywhere tonight. No school tomorrow.
Is there any other catastrophe in the world that carries with it an equal amount of joy than a school burning down? But this time, is it chance or is some supernatural force, sinister or benign, at play? We're going to find out that this simple phenomenon, or happenstance, is a great deal more than sheer coincidence when we return in a few moments with Act 2.
Some research experts say you can't taste the difference between beers. Well, if they're right, then Anheuser-Busch wastes a barrel of time Beechwood aging Budweiser. Only they don't think so. Brewing beer right does make a difference. And they're betting a bundle that you can taste the difference in Bud. When it comes to brewing Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch choice is to go all the way because they still care about quality. Look at it this way. If the Bud people have a choice between what some experts say and what beer drinkers say, well, you'd better believe they'll go with you beer drinkers every time. When you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Don't let anyone con you into thinking it's wrong to turn in a heroin pusher. You're not ratting. You're doing your part to wipe out one of the most insidious epidemics racking our country today. So don't let anyone kid you. If you really care about the quality of life, if you really care about improving society, you'll do everything you can to get the heroin pusher off the street and into jail where he belongs. If you have information about a drug pusher, use the heroin hotline. The number is 800-368-5363. That's toll-free from anywhere in the country. The number again is 800-368-5363. A trained operator will answer your call, take your information, and pass it on to experienced federal agents who will investigate. You'll make your own special contribution toward helping us wipe out what President Nixon has called public enemy number one. Call 800-368-5363.
Jenny Lou, our 16-year-old who is determined to cling to childhood and all its happiest dreams, has made her first wish upon the conjure stone, the magic piece of shiny gold that came to her, she believes, at the hand of an angel. A wish that came true. Well, this one was a harmless enough request, although the manner of its granting has been destructive enough, if indeed it was actually granted. If this is a wishing stone, it is potentially as dangerous as a nuclear bomb.
Did you say the school burned down, Pa?
It sure as Tucker did, Judd. Ain't that good news, Jenny?
I reckon. I guess I didn't mean to do it that way.
You didn't mean to do what?
To burn it down. I just didn't want it to be. That's all I wished on.
Hey, what was she talking about, Marge?
Oh, it's just Jenny found
Don't you tell him, Ma.
Don't you tell me what?
Oh, don't pay any mind to the young'un's nonsense. Just tell us about the schoolhouse and what happened.
Well, sir, I just about finished trimming up Mayor Sackett's hedge, and I just started to get all my tools together to put back in the pickup when the fire horn went off.
I heard that old horn go just a couple of minutes after.
Hush up, Jenny.
Yeah, I run straight over to the firehouse, being that close, and we took off. By the time we got there, she was past all saving. And it's funny, you come to think of it, a brick building like that you wouldn't figure it'd turn into a regular torch.
Well, how'd the fire start, Pa?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe this. And neither does nobody else credit it. But according to old Sam Wallace, all of a sudden, a flaming arrow comes straight out of the sky and cut right through the brick walls and everything and hit the oil tank and blew her wide open.
That drunken old no-good, some custodian. I'll bet he was drinking and dropped one of those foul old stogies he smokes into all that rubbish he's too lazy to clean out of the cellar.
Yeah, it could be. It's what most everyone thinks. Still...
Still what?
It's hard to tell someone who wasn't there. But damn if the way he told that story did make you stop at least once to think on it.
What do you mean?
Well, it's the first time I ever seen that old booze hound with his eyes put together like he really was seeing what he talked about. Anyways, we talked enough. Hey, something to eat around here.
I got it warming. I'll serve it right away.
Pa,
Yes, sugar.
that flaming lightning bolt you said, how long before the fire horn sounded did it come?
Oh, well, according to Sam's story, he lit out next door to the gas station and called the fire department. Well, couldn't have been more than a couple of minutes.
See, Judd? It did so work.
Okay, if you want to believe it.
What are you kids talking about?
Well, forget it, Pa. Just kid talk.
Oh, well, I'm too old to share.
Oh, no, if you want to.
Oh, sure I do.
Well, Pa, it's just for no mind. Jenny and me's got to be getting to bed.
With no school to worry about tomorrow?
If there's no school, there's plenty of chores they can catch up on in the morning. Scoot now, both of you. I'm serving your Pa dinner.
Good night, Pa. Let's go, Jen.
But I wanted to
You
tell...
get on upstairs. It's past your bedtime.
Yes, Ma. Good night, Pa.
Good night, kids. Did you have to chase him off to bed? Little enough chance I get to see him.
It's little enough chance you make to see him.
Oh, lay off, will you, Marge?
I'm not even laying on. If you stuck a little closer to home than to the other woman, maybe you'd know what goes on around your own house.
Now, what other woman? Now, dang
I'm
it.
talking about Lady Luck, or whatever name you want to call her. My rival.
Lady Luck.
Whatever makes you gamble, Tom, one way or another, it's going to be the end of us. You ever going to see that before it's too late?
Why wouldn't you let me tell Pa about the wishing stone?
Because.
Because what?
Because first thing you know, he'll take it off of you, that's why.
Why would he? Because it's real gold?
Jenny, that stone ain't gold.
Then what is it?
It's pyrite.
What's pyrite?
Oh, it's just what everybody calls... Well, it's a sort of metal.
Well, anyways, whatever it is, it's real precious to me. It's my lucky charm.
Well, that's why you better not let Pa know what you think about it.
Why?
Well, you know what he's like. He cares about gambling more than he cares about anything, and all gamblers are real superstitious. Now, if he knew you had a lucky piece, especially if he heard the crazy story about you and the school burning down, he'd have it offer you so fast that it'd set your head to spinning.
It isn't crazy. You heard me wish on the stone for no school, and now there is no school.
That was just happenstance.
You don't think it happened just 'cause I wished it?
Of course it didn't.
Then I'm going to prove it to you. What do you want me to wish for?
I don't want you to wish for nothing.
I gotta show you. Look here now. I'm going to wish...
Jenny.
What, Judd? Oh, you sound so funny.
Well, maybe it's 'cause I feel like that.
What way?
Well, sort of, well, you know, superstitious like. It sort of gives you goosebumps if you think on it.
What does?
Well, now look, Jenny, supposing... Now, I'm not saying it did fall out this way, but supposing you did get what you wished for. You were the one yourself said you didn't mean to get it the way you did.
No, that's for sure I didn't. I didn't want the schoolhouse to go on fire. Gosh, Judd. Oh, just supposing someone had been in there and got caught in the fire.
Or a whole lot of folks. That's kind of what I'm saying.
And my wish could have burned them all up. But the angel gave it to me. For sure, he couldn't have meant nothing bad to happen. I don't have to throw it away, do I, Judd? I can keep it.
Well, that won't do no harm, so long as you don't wish on it.
I guess I'll just put it away for my keepsakes. And I'll never use it unless...
Unless what?
Unless the angel comes and tells me to.
Well, that's a right good idea, Jenny. And remember, don't let Pa get wind of that there stone. There would nothing hold him back from using it, even if he didn't believe in it.
It's going to seem funny going to school in the courthouse.
You'd think with only a Friday left in the week they'd have waited until Monday to start up again.
I'm glad they did. I don't want to miss any more school ever.
Then you better look out the things you go around wishing, Missy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ma. She's taking a pledge.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to wish on the stone anymore, 'cause the wish you get might turn out bad for other folks.
I think that's a very good pledge.
Yes, only...
Only what?
I'll have to whisper.
Well, don't mind me. I'm all finished. I got to get my books from upstairs.
What's this you have to whisper?
I was just going to say that with Judd's birthday tomorrow, I wanted to wish him a bicycle. He sure has his heart set on one.
Well, you won't have to worry because he's already got one. Leastways, he will by later this morning.
How?
You see this flour tin?
Yes.
Watch this. Down under the flour, there in this old glass salt cellar's the money I've been saving up for most a year to get your brother the bike he wants.
How come you kept it there?
Your father, what he is, it had to be some real safe place to keep his hands off it.
Who's that?
Oh, it's your Uncle Al. He's driving me to work this morning. Get the door, honey, will you? My hands are all flour.
Sure thing, Ma. Hi, Uncle Al.
Ah, beautiful. Oh, my, you sure are as pretty as a picture. Getting to look more like your mother every day. And they don't come any prettier than that.
Oh, you and your honey talk. You should have been on a TV instead of behind a cage.
Thank God the bank don't keep its tellers there anymore. You make me sound like an ape. Me, Tarzan. You, Jane?
No, me, Jenny.
I saw a guy here laughing. I knew you must be around, Uncle Al. Hi.
Hi, Gabe. Give me some skin.
Well, here's 5.
I'm at you. Ooh. Say, that's some grip. You want an Indian wrestle?
Oh, I'm going to be ready pretty soon to take you on.
I think you're ready already.
No, I got no time this morning. I got to catch a school bus. Come on, Jenny. We got to scoot. Goodbye, Ma.
Oh, have a good day, son.
Bye, Ma. And get a real swell you-know-what.
I will. Be happy, Jenny.
I am.
Bye, Uncle Al. Hey, it's great to see you.
We'll make it longer next time.
Bye, Uncle Al.
Come on, Jenny.
Make next time soon.
You can count on it real soon. Oh, they're swell kids, Marge. I envy you.
Yeah, they're what I live for these days.
Tom left already?
No, he's upstairs to the world. He rolled in this morning around 3, smelling like a brewery.
That brother of mine, I'd like to knock his head off.
The way he'll be feeling time he gets up this morning, you won't have to. It'll fall off all by itself.
I got to talk some business to him.
Like what?
Well, I don't want to get you involved in it, Marge.
Well, if it's about money, I will be anyway.
It is about money.
And there's no use asking him. I went through his pockets last night, and he doesn't have 1 red cent.
But he's got to.
What for, Al?
Jim Kenny called me at home late last night.
The insurance agent?
Yeah. Last payment on Tom's life insurance hasn't been made, and tomorrow's the last day of the grace period.
But I gave him the money for that a month ago.
You gave him the money?
Oh, I was a fool, I know, but things had been going well for a while like they sometimes do, or anyways, I thought they were. And he asked me to trust him, and oh, Lord, what am I going to do now, Al?
I don't know, Marge. This time I just haven't got it.
What do you mean, this time?
Marge, Tom is hopeless. I've been carrying him for years, or thought I was. I gave him the $60 for that same payment. When I found out last night it hadn't been made, I was mad enough to kill him. One reason I waited till this morning is to cool off. I'd help you out, Marge, but I can't. I had to take out a new loan to raise the cash for Tom.
I can't let the insurance go.
You'd have a tough time getting a new policy written if this one lapses, but how?
Nearly a year I've been saving it for a bike for Judd's birthday tomorrow. Instead...
I'm going upstairs to beat the...
No, take me downtown, Al. I just can't face Tom this morning. I'll have it out with him tonight. After what you made me have to do today, how could you steal money out of my purse and leave to go gambling again?
All I want to do is run it up till it's enough to pay you back.
You're sick. I'm not going to let you take the money I broke my back making today.
I'll bring you back 5 times this. And you're not stopping me.
Oh, yes, I will.
I'm warning you. You stop hanging on to me.
I got to, Tom. You just can't do this to us anymore.
Just lay off of me.
Tom, you can't do this to us again.
I got the luck tonight. I can feel it all going for me.
The way you always feel. Please.
Let go of me. You want to put the whammy on me? I said...
Tom!
Let go!
Oh!
Marge! I didn't mean to push... Oh, my God.
Ma, what happened?
Ma! Oh, Judd! It's just like my dream. He killed her. Pa killed her dead.
The terror of addiction. Step by step, it grows to envelop the addict till it becomes his whole world, shutting out everything else. But the greater terror is the destruction of all who love him, dragged down with him, and eventually engulfed in a tragedy not of their making. I'll return in a moment with Act 3.
And now another story of the ball and chain, as Kellogg's Special K presents Veronica and Jeff.
Oh, Jeffrey, isn't this romantic? Out in a quiet lake at night with you rowing the boat.
Yes, Veronica, it's really neat.
Jeffrey, what was that?
Frogs.
Frogs that go bonk?
They're pretty weird frogs.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're such a card. You have a ball and chain, like the ones they use in those Special K commercials.
Yes, Veronica, it symbolizes my few pounds of extra weight. But I'm going to get rid of it.
How?
By exercising. You know, like rowing this boat and eating smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast.
You mean a 1-ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, orange juice, and coffee?
Precisely. It's less than 240 calories, and it tastes delicious. It'll help me get rid of this ball and chain.
I'll help too, Jeff. After all, we're all in the same boat.
You have a ball and chain, too.
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
People can reach, people can touch. Paul Newman speaking. Ever been close to a family struck by cancer? Naturally, your feelings go out to them and you ask if there's anything you can do. And they say no thanks and you feel so helpless. Well, there is something you can do. You can tell someone in the family to get in touch with the American Cancer Society. Volunteers there are helping people every day with services, information, and counseling about local community resources. That can mean arranging transportation or homemaking help or informing them about existing rehabilitation programs. When your cancer crusader calls, join the people who care about people. Give generously. We want to wipe out cancer in your lifetime.
An endless moment in time. A few dreadful seconds ticked away, with every heart crying out to take them back again, to make this just a bad dream and not reality. 3 people frozen in horror. The 4th sprawled at the bottom of the stairs, her neck bent at an impossible angle, frozen in, what, unconsciousness or death? Now, at last, the man brings himself to move.
Marge.
Don't you touch your pa, I'll kill you.
Oh, son.
I'm not your son, I'm your enemy. Jenny, call the police. Emergency. We gotta get Ma to the hospital fast. Ma.
Okay, kid. Just take it easy.
She's not gonna die. You're not gonna let her die, Doctor.
Just hang in tough, kid. We'll do our best. I should have gone with the ambulance.
You're sticking right with me, brother. We see how your wife makes out.
No, look, officer, you don't think she's...
Well, for the sake of your own skin, you better hope she isn't.
But it was an accident.
Well, the way that boy of yours reacted looked like he wasn't so sure. Now, we gotta get moving. What happened to your daughter?
Huh? Oh, Jenny, she went back to get something. Where are you taking us?
The hospital. First, anyways. Oh, here she comes. Come on, shake her leg, kiddo.
I had to get something very important.
Okay. Hop in the front with my buddy, Officer Franks.
Okay, Harry. Straight to X-ray. You got a family doctor, kid?
Yeah, Dr. Luther.
Oh, you know his number?
No, but I can look it up.
Okay. Tell your doctor to get here as fast as he can.
It's that bad?
I wouldn't want to fake you out, son. It's not good.
Can I phone Dr. Luther? He's on his way here.
Is Ma gonna die, Judd?
I don't know. I'm scared, real scared.
So am I. Judd?
What?
I'm gonna break my pledge. You forgive me?
What pledge?
I brought the wishing stone. I'm gonna wish on it. I'm gonna wish that Ma's gonna be all right, just like it never happened.
If you want to, Jenny, go ahead. Can't do no harm.
What can't do no harm?
For me to use my wishing stone?
Your what?
Shh, quiet. I'm wishing right now.
Are you the intern brought the Calder case in?
He is, officer.
Well, how is she?
I'm waiting for x-rays right now. I'd say she has one chance in 1,000. For certain sure her neck is broken. And the way it's broken and other signs indicate to me her spinal cord is badly damaged. If it isn't severed altogether. I just can't understand it, Dr. Luther. When I brought Mrs. Calder in, I'd have sworn she was in deep coma. I was sure her neck was broken, spinal cord severed.
There's no indication of that from my examination of her. Not the slightest in these x-rays.
I know, but not in this second set.
Was there a first?
Yes. And that's the funny thing. When we developed them, everyone was fogged. And we don't know why.
Well, these are perfectly clear. So is my patient's condition. I see no reason why she shouldn't go home. Cheer up, son. All interns make mistakes. I made a few buttes in my time. And I'll say this for you. If you have to make one, make it on the gloomy side. They're the ones that don't hurt anyone or anything. Except maybe your pride.
Well, I can't understand it. That cop said it flat out that Marge was a goner.
Well, maybe he was just trying to put the fear of God into you.
Well, if he was, he sure succeeded.
If it'll do any good.
You think I made a stone, Judd? You think I don't blame myself for what might have happened? You think I wasn't ready to kill myself if anything happened to Marge?
I don't know, Pa.
Pa wasn't trying to hurt Ma, Judd. It was an accident.
An accident that wouldn't have happened if... Well, Pa wasn't sick with gambling fever.
Well, I've learned my lesson this time. I'll never gamble again.
Oh, Pa. Oh, that makes me so happy.
I'm glad, honey.
And it means I won't have to use the stone again.
Mm-hmm.
I can save up what's maybe the last wish for something special for all of us, instead of having to use it to stop you from gambling.
What stone?
The wishing stone. The one I used at the hospital to wish Ma well again.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Listen, Duchess. Let me see that stone.
Don't show it to him.
Why not?
I don't know. It's just a sort of hunch that... Wait a minute. Here comes the doctor.
How's Marge, Dr. Luther?
She's fine, more's the wonder. Oh, a few scrapes and a bruise or two and a lump on the head. Nothing a good night's rest won't take care of.
Thank God.
You should. It's a miracle she didn't break her neck in a fall like that. That intern at the hospital was sure she did.
But she didn't.
No, Judd, I told you she'll be as right as rain.
Well, can I go up and see her now?
Yeah. She was asking for you. And the kids. She wants to see you alone a moment first.
I'll go right up.
Yeah, just to put your mind at rest, or maybe more hers, she doesn't want to prefer any charges against you. So you can tell her my report to the police will call it just an accident. She slipped and fell.
I'll tell her, Doc.
You got off mighty lucky this time, Tom. You better not tempt fate again.
Well, I won't. No, I mean it, Marge. Just give me another chance.
I didn't see how I could, Tom.
I never meant to throw you down those stairs.
Oh, not because of that. The last straw for me was taking a chance away from Judd to have something he wanted more than anything in the world, his bicycle.
You should just have let the insurance go.
How could I, Tom? With 2 kids to bring up, if anything happened to you, Not that I want anything to happen to you.
You gonna take me back, Marge?
I don't know, Tom. It's hard for me to feel for you what I once felt. But if you're going to promise me you'll quit the gambling for the children's sake, we'll try to make a go of it.
You won't be sorry, Marge.
I hope not. I just wish I knew how to make it up to Judd tomorrow.
If there was something I could pawn.
You haven't left anything in this house that you could. Except the one thing you could never get your hands on.
Well, what's that?
My wedding ring. Do you think I could get enough on that?
Well, not enough to pay for it all, but for a down payment. And I'll take that night job, cleaning sewers you made me turn down to pay it off.
I don't want you working in any sewers. Anyway, you can't work day and night.
Well, I can't till I get Judd his bike.
Well, we'll see. I'll take the ring down in the morning.
No, sir. Dr. Lewis doesn't want you out of bed. I'll take it down.
You?
Can't you trust me, Marge? Well, if you can't trust me now, then what hope do I have, or any of us, I can ever be trusted? Well, you got to. Or I swear to God, I'd just as soon be...
All right, Tom. I'll trust you.
What? You ran out of the money? Look, Benny, you got to do an old customer a favor, huh? You got to cover me for the 5th headlonger. Now, Benny, you got it. That 15 I laid out on the 1st was money I got for pawning my wife's wedding ring. I got to get it back, and I got a hot tip. The headlonger's assured. Benny, for God's sake. Oh, just this once. Please. Benny. Benny. What am I going to do? I wish to God. Wish. Oh, that wishing stone. Yeah.
Where's Jenny, Judd?
Oh, I left her down by the pond. We were skipping stones. I just came up to see how you were feeling.
Fine. I'm going to get up. Your pa didn't get back yet, did he?
No, ma'am. I ain't seen him since early morning when he pulled out in the pickup.
Well, you go on back down and keep Jenny company. I'm going to bake me a cake so we can have a real birthday celebration.
Oh, it's all right, Ma. I don't need a cake.
You're going to get a lot more than you bargained for. Now, go on. I don't like Jenny down by that pond alone. You know she can't swim.
What?
Hi, Pa.
What are you doing up on top of the rock here?
Oh, just sunning myself and listening to the birds.
Jenny, hey, you know that wishing stone you talked about?
Yes?
Is it gold?
You want to see?
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, it's nothing but pyrite.
Isn't that a kind of gold?
Yeah, fool's gold, and not even worth as much as a piece of charcoal.
No, Pa. No. Don't throw it away. It's still good for one wish.
You think this makes any wishes come true?
It made the school burn down, and Ma got her neck unbroken.
You're a Ma. Why'd you grow up and stop your daydreaming? Don't you know nobody ever got nothing by wishing? I've been doing a kind of wishing all my life. Look at where I end up now. Well, I'm going to wake up your little Miss Bright Eyes to show just how tough a world this is.
Pa! Please don't get mad.
If this was a wishing stone, well, nobody ever needed it more than me right this moment. So look at this. I'm going to make a wish. I need money. I need it bad. So I'm going to wish that old Nick himself comes climbing up out of the middle of this pond with a sack of gold on his back for me. And I ain't going to be greedy. And I ain't going to ask for much. Just say like a 10, no, make it $20,000. Okay. Now, I'll rub the stone, and I wish. You see? It ain't no wishing stone. It don't make dreams come true. It's a nothing. Oh, Jenny, help me!
Why doesn't he come out? Help! I can't swim! John! Help! It's Pa!
I don't know how I'm going to tell the kids, Al.
They're not really children anymore, Marge. They know.
I guess I do baby them. I won't anymore.
In a lot of ways, they're better off. Tom...
Well, Tom had a cancer that he just couldn't cut out. Even my wedding ring, Oh, I didn't want him, though.
Well, he is. And it was of his own making. Kind of queer, isn't it?
What?
Him trying to show Jenny Lou her wishing stone wasn't worth a darn, and he ended up having his wish come true?
Not quite. The policy's only for $10,000.
There's double indemnity for accidental death, Marge. Tom got everything he wished for. The full $20,000.
3 wishes, and they all all came true, whether by some supernatural force or sheer coincidence. It doesn't really matter. For in the end, everyone was better off except the one who didn't deserve to be. This was the gambler's last plunge, one he should never have taken with the odds so stacked against him. Like Jenny, Tom Coulter had never learned to swim either. I'll be back shortly.
Hey, we're the Action Corps. See, we contribute more.
T's for the teamwork of our crew.
Our ideals are high.
Oh, oughtn't you apply?
Means it's now that we need you. A-C-P. We could go on all day. Oh. Here's why volunteers are needed right away.
Action is VISTA, the Peace Corps, RSVP, SCORE, and other volunteer programs that are helping people to help themselves. If you're trained in a skill or just have a little love to share, Action needs you.
Yeah, baby. Action really needs you.
Don't crawl under a rock. Get into action.
Oh, yeah.
This is a public service of this station and the Advertising Council.
As for the wishing stone itself, since it lies buried deep somewhere in the mud at the bottom of the pond, no one will ever know if it had the power to grant wishes. For Jenny, like all of us, had no escape from a common fate that soon befell her. She grew up and inherited a mantle that only Peter Pan seems to have escaped. She stopped believing in magic. Our cast included William Prince, Clarice Blackburn, Ann Costello, Jack Grimes, and Robert Dryden. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Your husband? You dreamed? It was no dream. Oh, it was my husband. His ghost.
Oh, for the love...
Rory. Stood at the foot of my bed, and he begged my forgiveness for leaving me a pauper and breaking my heart. And he said, Jessica, I promise you'll live in Gormley House again. And then he vanished. The very next night, the Putnams crashed through the bridge over Gormley Gorge.
Well, accidents do happen.
It was no accident. No, the real estate man didn't tell you the whole story. Mrs. Putnam lived long enough to tell just what had happened. The Putnams didn't go off the bridge by accident. They were driven off it. Forced to swerve off it by an oncoming car. A car driven by a skeleton.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
WDAF, Kansas City.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to our world of mystery and the macabre. Sit back and lend us your fears. Have you ever seen a ghost? It is an experience of such horror as to turn your blood to ice. Oh, I know, there are those who scoff, but they have never met a ghost. Our mystery drama, The Ghost Driver, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by George Lothar and stars Augusta Dabney and Mason Adams. It is sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser, and by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Baked in the morning, Kellogg's has that wholesome taste that gets you up and grinning.
This is Jerry Crawford for Kellogg's Special K. We've been having some fun in our television and radio commercials by using a ball and chain to symbolize the slight overweight problem common to so many of us. We point out that being a few pounds overweight is just a little more difficult for you. Climbing stairs, just walking around, even sitting down can feel, well, like you're wearing a ball and chain. In case you missed the message, it's this. If you really want to get rid of that extra weight, you really have to work at it by exercising and with sensible meals like the Special K breakfast. A 1-ounce bowl of Special K, America's favorite high-protein cereal, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. Less than 240 calories. Nutritious and, by the way, delicious. So why not begin each day with a Special K breakfast and then keep up the good work? Special K can't help you lose weight all by itself, but it really is a good start.
No matter what you're saving for, that's what Suburban Savings for Suburban.
Suburban Savings offers you an easy way to borrow without touching a penny in your regular savings passbook account. Just let Suburban loan you the money. It's called Suburban Savings Passbook Loan. You can borrow up to 90% of the total amount you have on deposit at reasonable rates, and you can pay off your loan at your convenience. When your loan is repaid, you still have all of your savings intact, plus interest. So if you need money, why not take a loan from Suburban without touching your savings? Suburban Savings Passbook Loan in New Jersey at Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
Do ghosts exist? Mel Stout doesn't think so. But his wife Liz feels differently. If it had been up to Liz, they'd never have bought Gormley Lodge on top of Manitou Mountain in Colorado. Why? Because according to local legend, the former owners, the Putnams, had been sent crashing to their death by a ghost driver who came at them head on. Now, in the living room of the lodge...
Liz, I've had it up to here with that brother of yours.
now,
I mean, he
Mel.
promised to help finish painting his living room before the Duncans arrived tonight, and where is he?
Mel?
I'll tell you where he is. He is out on the slope skiing, enjoying himself as usual.
Well, do you just be reasonable now? If we didn't have Rory, where would we get a ski instructor, I'd like to know? We certainly can't afford to hire one, any more than we could afford to have this place painted.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I've got so darn much on my mind. Liz, I just hope that I haven't made the mistake of my life and yours.
We'll make a go of the lodge. We're off to a pretty good start. The Duncans arrive tonight, and they're booked for a full week. And the Todds and the Morgans arrive next week.
Yeah, and after that?
Well, darling, our newspaper ads ought to get us more customers. Just ask yourself, darling, what would you rather be doing now? Painting the living room of your own ski lodge with paying guests arriving tonight? Or slaving away at your old accounting job in Aspen?
Well, at least that brought a check in every week.
Oh, Mel, you've wanted to be your own boss for years. And so we bought this old mansion on top of Manitou Mountain to start our own ski lodge. The old Gormley Mansion. And we're going to keep at it until we make a success of it.
Liz, you're marvelous.
Oh, there's somebody at the front door. I'll get it. Oh, Mrs. Gormley.
Come to pay you a visit, Miss Stout. My first formal visit.
Well, that's very good of you, Mrs. Gormley. Well, won't you come in?
All right, Jason. You heard the lady. Wheel me in.
Yes, Mother.
You know my son, Jason? You've met?
Yes, briefly. Mel, the Gormleys have come to pay a visit.
I see you, Mrs. Gormley. Jason, hope you don't mind if I finish this painting.
Oh, go right ahead. I'd give you a hand, old as I am, but my arthritis keeps me in this wheelchair.
Jason, why don't
No, thanks. I couldn't think of asking a fine arts painter to do
Fine art. You hear that, Jason? Mr. Stout complimented you. Called the mountain scenes you paint fine art.
Well, they are. Why, I saw some of them in the ski shop in town. They're very good. Do you sell many?
A few.
Oh, just enough to cover the cost of the paint and canvas. Oh, yes, and a quart of whiskey now and then.
Mother, please.
Well, now, if they don't hear it from me, Jason, they'll hear it from others.
A drink now and then.
Now and then. Tell the Stouts how you play Russian roulette with that old revolver of your father's when you're drunk.
Stop it, Mother. Stop it.
Perhaps you'd like some coffee, Mrs. Gormley, or tea. It won't take a minute.
No, thank you. We won't be here that long. Now, I've come to do for you what I did for the Putnams. Them that bought my house out from under me 3 years ago.
Out from under you? Mrs. Gormley, are you saying that we have done that? Forced you out of your house?
Well, haven't you? Oh, it's not your fault. Jason's father left us destitute. Left me destitute, I should say. With a son too lazy to support his old mother. So I had to sell this beautiful place.
Mother, the Stouts aren't interested in all this past history.
Well, they'd better be. If they value their lives.
Value our lives?
Well, Mr. Halliday didn't tell you.
Of course.
Tell us what?
About how the Putnams met their death.
Why, yes. The real estate man told us about the accident.
That was no accident. No more than my husband's death was an accident.
He died in the same way? His car crashed off the bridge into the gorge?
Right. 800 feet down into the gorge. To the rocks 800 feet below. But no accident. Suicide.
The Putnams didn't commit suicide.
Not them. My husband, Jason Sr., raving drunk and suicidal, but theirs was no accident either, the Putnams. He drove them off that bridge. Who? My husband.
Now, wait a minute, Mrs. Gormley. If your husband was...
Hi, I'm back.
Oh, sure. Naturally, Rory. Now, the painting job is nearly done.
Oh, now, don't get uptight, Mel. I just didn't remember till I was out on the slopes. Hi, Mrs. Gormley. Jason. Paying a little social call?
It's anything but social.
Mrs. Gormley, are you saying that your husband, even though he was somehow killed the Putnams?
Liz, come on now.
All right, I'll tell you. After my husband's death, when I realized I'd been left penniless, and that I'd have to sell this place, I fell into a state of depression. When the Putnams bought Gormley Lodge, well, they were going to use it as a winter home, not turn it into a ski resort like you. When they bought it, and I had to move into the little guest house, I was so sad I thought I'd die. For days and days I sat and wept, and then one night, my husband come to me.
Your husband? You dreamed?
It was no dream. Oh, it was my husband. His ghost.
Oh, for the love.
Rory.
Stood at the foot of my bed, and he begged my forgiveness for leaving me a pauper and breaking my heart. And he said, Jessica, I promise you'll live in Gormley House again. And then he vanished. The very next night, the Putnams crashed through the bridge over Gormley Gorge.
Well, accidents do happen.
It was no accident. Now, the real estate man didn't tell you the whole story. Mrs. Putnam lived long enough to tell just what had happened. Well, you can ask the sheriff. The Putnams didn't go off the bridge by accident. They were driven off it. Forced to swerve off it by an oncoming car. A car driven by a skeleton.
Good heavens.
That's what I wanted to tell you. And now you know. Good day.
Well, what kind of a put-on is this? She's trying to scare us out of here.
I'm trying to save your lives.
You're trying to get back into this house. That's what you're doing. Just the way you moved back after the Putnams got killed and lived here a full 3 years until now.
Rory, have some respect for that.
No way. She may be old, but she's as shrewd as they come. She frightens you off, then moves back in again and stays until some other sucker comes along.
I warn you.
Just let us know when your husband's ghost shows up again.
It did. What? Last night.
Oh, man, this is the neatest ripoff.
Shut up, Rory. Will you... Your husband's ghost? Last night?
Yes. And he used the same words. Jessica, I promise you'll live in Gormley Lodge again. Oh, I beg you, listen to me. The Putnams wouldn't and went to their death.
Oh, Mrs. Gormley, you're really out of sight. You
So smart. You're so sure of yourself. You think he isn't watching and listening, my husband? Do you think he doesn't know how you insulted me? And do you think he'll not repay you? Oh, yes. If people are to die this time, too, you will be the first. Now be warned. Jason, wheel me back. Be warned.
Rory, you shouldn't have talked to Mrs. Gormley like that.
You didn't spring for that crazy story, did you?
I don't know. I wonder.
What, Liz?
Mel, call the sheriff. Find out if Mrs. Gormley's telling the truth.
Oh, come on, Liz. I look like a fool. Anyhow, I've got to finish this paint job. What? Liz, you're not...
I must find out.
Suit yourself. You always do.
Sheriff Harper speaking.
Oh, Sheriff, this is Elizabeth Stout calling. We're the new owners of Gormley House.
Oh, yes. What can I do for you, Mrs. Stout?
Well, we just had a visit from Mrs. Gormley.
Oh?
What do you mean, oh?
Oh, nothing, Mrs. Stout, only she can be a little hard to take, getting on in years.
Yes, well, what I wanted to ask you... Of course, you remember the accident to the Putnams 3 years ago, crashing off the bridge over Gormley Gorge.
Yes, I remember.
Well, according to Mrs. Gormley, Mrs. Putnam lived long enough to tell you what had caused the accident. Is that so?
Yes, it is.
And what did she tell you?
Well, now, Mrs. Stout, she was near death. Maybe out of her head with pain and shock.
What did she tell you, Sheriff? Did she tell you that they had been forced to swerve off the bridge because of another car that came straight at them? A car with a skeleton driving it?
Well, as I said, she was out of her
Did
head.
she?
Yes, that's the story she told me.
Thank you. Goodbye.
So?
Mrs. Gormley told the truth.
Oh, the Putnam woman was dying. Anybody in that condition is liable to say anything.
I suppose.
Now, look, just get off it, Liz. We put our life savings, every cent we've got in this place, and I'm not leaving, ghost or no ghost.
Well, speaking of leaving, I'd better get on down into Manitou and pick up the Duncans at the airport.
Well, it's a bit early, isn't it? Or have you got some cute chick in town that you'd like to spend an hour or so with?
Mel, you put me away.
Don't give me any ideas, Rory. Well, it's a bit early, isn't it? Or have you got some cute chick in town that you'd like to spend an hour or so with?
Mel, you put me away.
Don't give me any ideas, Rory.
This is some road, Rory. You drive it often? In the dark, I mean?
A few times, Mr. Duncan.
Well, it's frightfully steep and curvy.
Now, don't push the panic button, Mrs. Duncan. I'll get you to the top of Manitou Mountain safe enough. You'll be enjoying a hot toddy in front of the fireplace at Gormley Lodge before you know it.
Maybe you better slow down a little.
Ah, it's okay. That was just a patch of loose shale. You much of a skier, Mr. Duncan?
Oh, I do okay. My wife will need some lessons, though. I take it Gormley Lodge has a pro.
Oh, the best.
Me? Well, fine. Say, this road is steep and curvy. Must be pretty spectacular. Views, I mean, in the daytime.
It's spectacular enough right now, what I can see in the headlights.
We've got some views, all right. Here's one. It's real cool. From the bridge over Gormley Gorge.
Steep?
800 feet straight down. Yeah, it's too bad there isn't a moon tonight. I'd stop on the bridge and let you have a look.
What's that sound?
We're crossing the bridge now. A wooden bridge over Gormley Gorge. About 500 feet across. Hey, what's it?
Lights of a car. Coming fast. That fool is coming straight at us.
Get over!
A skeleton driving that car. Hey, we're going off the bridge!
be back shortly with Act Two. If you have the nerve to return, that is.
Hello, Chucks. It seems like only yesterday that I was a little girl tasting porridge. You know, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. And now I conduct taste tests on diet drinks. And there's one I must tell you about. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. It has a fresh, natural, delicious taste. It drives my taster meter crazy. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got? How about a no-cook dinner for a change? Serve a delicious spread of sliced meats, cheeses, salads, and crisp rolls from ShopRite's appetizer counter. You'll love the freshness, the fine quality, and the pleasing variety. This week's best buys are ShopRite freshly sliced chicken roll, half pound, 69 cents. Imported Switzerland Swiss cheese, half pound, 89 cents. ShopRite liverwurst, 99 cents a pound. Fresh macaroni salad, 39 cents a pound. So relax. Pick up a ready-to-eat dinner at the ShopRite appetizer counter. She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
Hello, Amco. My automatic transmission just stopped automaticing. I was wondering, do you service Chevrolets?
Do we service those sensational Chevrolets? Ma'am, AMCO has serviced over 3 million automatic transmissions of all kinds. Nearly 900,000 Chevrolets alone.
Ooh.
Do we service Chevrolets? George, pitch pipe, please.
Chevy Nova and Impala and the Bel Air and Camaro and the Chevy too.
Oh, my.
Yep, we know 'em. Every Chevrolet automatic make and model on the road today, from the oldest Biscayne to a bright, spanky Caprice. By the way, what sort of Chevy did you say you had?
A Chevy Mustang.
Well, no matter. Nobody knows your automatic transmission better than AMCO. AA MCO.
There are over 500 AMCO centers coast to coast. Consult your yellow pages for the AMCO center nearest you. AA MCO. AMCO. This is WOR New York and RKO General Station.
Terror, unless you have experienced it, is only a word. I could employ all the art at my command, my voice, the words I choose, to convey to you the full impact of terror. Yet, I know I should fail, even as Michael Duncan fails now in telling his story to Sheriff Harper on the bridge over Gormley Gorge the next morning.
Terror? You say you experienced terror?
What would you experience, Sheriff? Delight?
Mr. Duncan, I'm only trying to get at what happened here last night.
Excuse me, Sheriff.
Yes, Mr. Stout, what is it?
Will it be much longer before they get the bodies up?
Hard to say. Why?
I'd like to get back to the lodge. My wife is alone, and you can imagine her condition after hearing of her brother's death. Say nothing of how it happened.
Sure, you go ahead. I'll let you know when you're needed to identify the bodies. I'm sorry about your brother-in-law, Mr. Stout, and the publicity.
Publicity?
And this is the second time the ghost driver has struck.
Ghost driver?
And the news has got out. I hear they're sending reporters over from Aspen.
That's great. That's just what I need. That'll end my ski resort business for good. Not that it ever got started.
Wait a few minutes and I'll ride back up with you. Nothing I can do either till they recover Jill's body.
Oh, yes, there is, Mr. Duncan. You can give me a full account.
Now, look, Sheriff, I've told you all I know. We were driving across this bridge when we saw this other car coming straight at us. Stout's brother-in-law was driving. He swerved to avoid the oncoming car and went through the guardrail. In the split second between swerving and going through the rail, I leapt clear and saved myself. I wish I could say the same for that boy and Jill, my wife.
About the skeleton at the wheel of the other car.
Why do you keep harping on that?
Because it's something to harp on. If you saw a skeleton driving that car...
I didn't.
You said...
I know what I said, but... Well, I've got to be wrong. I couldn't have seen what I thought I did.
Why not?
Because I don't believe in skeletons driving cars. I don't believe in ghosts.
Now, take it easy, Mr. Duncan. All I'm after is a complete report. The facts.
All you're after is the publicity you're going to get out of this. Put you on the map, won't it, Sheriff? Why, you might even get a job in one of the big Colorado ski resorts like Aspen or Vail.
That'll be enough, Mr. Duncan. You can go. I'll phone the lodge when I need you.
Mrs. Gormley.
Well, invite me in, Miss Stout.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I'm surprised to see that you're not in a wheelchair.
Oh, it depends on how bad my arthritis kicks up. Sometimes I can walk with a cane, like now.
I see.
Is your husband home?
No, he's down at the bridge with Mr. Duncan.
Oh, the fella whose wife got killed, huh?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Sorry about your brother, too. Even though he asked for it.
Mrs. Gormley,
Your brother, because he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't heed my warning. Now you listen, child. You heed my warning. Make your husband listen and take warning, too. You leave this place. Leave it today.
Don't think I wouldn't. We wouldn't if we could. But we can't. All our savings are tied up in Gormley Lodge.
Listen to me, listen. My husband came to me again last night. And he promised me again I'd return to this house.
You love this old house, don't you?
Well, it was my life. You're a woman. You understand how that is.
Yes.
I came here a bride 40 years ago. Jason, Senior, that is. He was just starting his career as a painter. Jason, my son, was born here. There was another child, a little girl. She died here. No, this house isn't made of wood and stone.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I think they've come back. Yes, my husband and Mr. Duncan are back.
I'll go then.
Oh, well, Mrs. Gormley, I'm going to put some coffee on. You stay. Have a cup.
No, I can't bear to go on looking at people who I know are going to die.
What's this? Die? Who's going to die now?
You are, Mr. Stout. You and your wife. If you don't heed my warning and leave as soon as possible.
Now, what's all this, Stout? Who is this woman?
Jessica Gormley used to own this place.
Oh, the woman you told me about. The one who claims her husband's ghost visits her.
I don't just claim it. It's true. Who are you?
My name's Michael Duncan.
Oh, yes. The one whose wife went to her death in the gorge last night. Well, you take my advice, too. You leave here. Leave as fast as you can.
How about a drink, Stout?
Oh, so you two won't listen. The ghost driver killed your wife last night, and yet you won't listen. Well, let me warn you once and for all.
What was that?
A shot. It was a gunshot.
Jason! Oh, it's happened. He's killed himself. Oh.
She's fallen. Liz, help her up and keep her here. Duncan, you come with me.
Coming. Yeah, Mr. Stout. What do you want?
Oh, you're okay, Jason.
We heard a gunshot.
What of it?
Well, we've heard of you and your little games like Russian roulette, and we thought that you...
I'd shot myself? No such luck. Come in if you want to.
Oh, the gunshot we heard.
I fired it. Deliberately.
You fired that shot deliberately?
You ask a lot of questions for someone I haven't even met.
It's Mike Duncan. He and his wife are to be my first guests. It was his wife who got killed last night.
Oh. I'm sorry. How did you escape?
Flung myself from the car just before it went through the guardrail.
Well, you'd better keep an eye out for the old man's ghost. He'll be after you.
Mr. Gormley, I don't believe in ghosts. Now, why did you fire that revolver?
What business is it? All right. I'll tell you. You'll think it's nutty.
I'm sure.
I've been playing Russian roulette with this gun for years.
ever since my father died. And I always win. Or lose, depending on how you look at it.
And how do you look at it, Jason?
I give it to you straight, Mr. Stout. I want to lose. For years now, I've picked up the gun like this. Oh, no, not every day. Maybe once a week. Once every other week. Whenever the mood comes on me. And I put it to my temple. Like this.
Wait a minute.
Don't worry. Gun's empty. I haven't put in a fresh bullet yet. You see, the reason I deliberately fired that bullet I had in this gun was to find out if the thing was a dud. It wasn't.
Too bad.
May I shake your hand, Mr. Duncan? You're the first man I've ever met who says what he thinks.
You want to kill yourself? Go ahead.
I like you. You do speak your mind. And now, gentlemen, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get back to this painting of mine. By the way, what do you think of it?
Pretty lurid, isn't it?
That's just the right word for it, Mr. Stout. See? There's the car swerving and crashing through the bridge. The oncoming ghost car with the skeleton at the wheel. All in flaming color. I knock out one an hour. I slap a frame on it and I sell it in Manitou for $20. So excuse me, will you? Business is going to pick up, thanks to last night. And I want to be ready to supply the demand.
It's been a rough 24 hours, Miss Stout. It's a nice chair. Just right for sitting in front of a fire. Cost you plenty, I'll bet.
Yes, plenty. But that isn't what I'm thinking about.
You're thinking about your brother and my wife lying in their coffins at the undertaker's in Manitou.
Yes, and also that even a small village like Manitou has an undertaker.
Birth, death, taxes. The only sureties in life, Mrs. Stout.
Liz.
Mike. I like your husband.
Me too.
He told me about everything. About what getting this ski resort means to you. Your life savings invested, all that.
All down the drain, I'm afraid.
The publicity?
What else? Every reservation's canceled. Well, all except one. But that'll come in, too.
It has, Liz.
Yes?
There it is. Please cancel my reservation for next week, Frank Norton. Has a family of 4. Telegram phoned in from Aspen. Anybody got a sponge?
A sponge?
So I can throw it in. I'm through, Mike.
You always give up this easy?
What do you mean, easy?
Just that. Do you always fade when the going gets tough? Or this is the time to start fighting. Does it make good sense to let all this go down the drain because somebody's playing a trick on you? A murderous trick?
Do you think it's a trick?
What else could it be? A skeleton driving a ghost car? What else but a trick? Well, what else?
You were in that car last night. You saw. And it was a skeleton behind the wheel of the oncoming car. You told the sheriff that. You can still say that...
it was a trick, yes.
What kind of trick? But, Mike, you admit you saw a skeleton driving a car, but you can still call it a trick? See, I see you don't answer.
Look, Mel, I'm a practical man, a businessman. You think being a businessman is simple? Oh, no. I've had troubles that would make yours look like nothing. Today you won't find anybody more successful than me. But I've been bankrupt twice. Yes, and paid off every cent. How? Well, not by running away, the way you want to, but by standing up and fighting. And that's what you've got to do right now.
How? You tell me how, and I'll do it.
Look, we'll do it together. I've got a stake in this, too, you know. My wife is murdered. Yes, murdered. Not by a ghost, but by a trick. And if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to find out who played that trick and make it pay.
And you don't think it's a ghost?
Do you? Answer me. Do you believe in ghosts? Did you believe before you came here and ran into this mess you're in?
Well, no, I didn't.
Then why start believing now? Ghosts, my foot. Mel, this is a trick. Somebody wants to stop you from turning Gormley Lodge into a ski resort. And if you ask me, it's the Gormleys. One or the other or both is behind all this. Or that sheriff down in Manitou.
Sheriff? Oh, Mike, you don't really think that the
I don't know what to think, Liz. All I know is that somebody's behind this, and those are the three likeliest suspects. Now, look, I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but I've got a brain, and I've got guts, and well, my wife is my Jill. Well, I'm just going to find out who killed her, that's all.
The tougher they are.
You like a drink, Mike?
No, thanks. I'll be okay. Especially when I nail that murderer.
What have you got in mind?
Well, it'll be dark in about an hour. We take the car, Mel, you and me. We take the car, and we drive up and down that road, all night if necessary, to meet up with this so-called ghost driver. And when and if we meet up with him...
Yes? If and when you meet up with him, what?
We don't turn aside. We don't swerve out of his path and off the bridge. We drive straight at him and keep driving at him. If he's a ghost in a ghost car, we'll drive through him.
And if he isn't?
If he isn't? Well, if he isn't, it'll be one hell of a crash.
You out there listening, what would you do? If you were Mel Stout, would you accept Mike Duncan's challenge? I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
Ever see a beer drinker pour his beer real easy down the side of the glass? Maybe you do it yourself. If so, the Budweiser brewmaster thinks you're missing something, especially if you're a Budweiser drinker. You see, Bud is brewed, so it will kick up a healthy head of foam. Exclusive beechwood aging and natural carbonation make it a lively brew. Well, anyway, pouring Bud plump down the middle of the glass helps bring out the best in that clean white Budweiser foam and real beer aroma. It also helps you get the full benefit of a taste, smoothness, and drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any price. Remember, brewing beer right does make a difference. Next time, pour that Budweiser right down the middle and see for yourself. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Thought you couldn't afford to fly to California this summer, TWA has some good news for you. You can. Thanks to TWA's demand schedule service, you can fly to California for only $125. Just make your reservations 90 days before you want to go and put down a $20 deposit for each way. For all the details, call your travel agent. TWA's demand schedule service. Now you can afford to fly to California.
Are now driving the twisting, precipitous mountain road that leads to Gormley Lodge. One, Mike Duncan, believes that the ghost driver they hope to meet is nothing but a trick. Mel Stout, his life savings, every penny at stake, has had no choice but to go along.
Mike, I'm bushed. Let's make this the last trip.
We're going to drive up and down this road till dawn. Yes, and night after night if we have to. Until we meet up with our so-called ghost driver.
This is the 6th time we've been up and down this mountain road.
Okay. Pull over. I'll drive. Get out your side. I'll slip behind the wheel.
Hey, there's a car coming up behind us. Red light flash. That must be the sheriff. There's the sheriff, all right.
Mr. Stout. Oh, and you, Mr. Duncan.
What are you doing here, Sheriff?
Well, that's what I want to ask you. I got a report from Mountain View House across the valley there that they were seeing headlights going up and down this road. Guess I don't have to tell you everybody around here's on edge after what happened last night. Now, what are you up to?
We're not up to anything, Sheriff. We're driving this road in hopes of meeting up with whoever or whatever killed my wife and Mr. Stout's brother-in-law.
And get yourselves killed in the bargain? Oh, no. You drive on up to Gormley Lodge, and when you get there, stay there.
You make that sound like an order, Sheriff.
That's what it is, Mr. Stout.
Well, I guess we better do like he says, Mike.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't. This is a public road. We've got a right to be on it. Unless we're doing something that breaks the law, and we're not.
You're a kind of troublemaker, Mr. Duncan, aren't you?
Sheriff, I never go looking for trouble, but I know how to handle it when it comes my way. Now, either you arrest us for breaking some law or other, in which case you'd better be prepared to back it up, or I'll sue the town of Manitou and you for false arrest, or get off our backs.
I'm not on your backs. I'm trying to save your lives. Take my advice.
Advice, huh? I thought it was an order.
All right, wise guy. Have it your way. Go ahead and get killed and be to you.
Let's go, Mel.
You can sure sound tough, Mike.
No small-town sheriff pushes me around.
Well, he's only trying to do his job.
Maybe. And maybe not.
What do you mean?
I don't know. But that's what we're going to find out. Tonight, tomorrow night, or whenever. Now, there's the bridge ahead.
Yeah, maybe you better slow down.
No. If it's a ghost, we'll go through it. If it isn't...
Mike, headlights coming toward us.
Now, look, don't lose your nerve.
Coming closer. We're going to crash if you don't... Mike! Driving that car, it's Rory!
Your brother-in-law, my God!
Mel, Mike, I can't believe it.
Can't believe it myself, Liz. Not only what we saw, but getting out of it with our lives.
The fates were with us, Mel. I lost my nerve. I have to admit that. I just couldn't keep driving straight at that awful thing coming toward us. I couldn't help myself. I swerved at the last second.
Well, thank God we hit that stanchion instead of going off the bridge.
But Rory driving the other car, it's impossible. Rory's dead. We're burying him tomorrow.
Rory's, that's for sure. But it was Rory driving that car, that's for sure, too.
Then ghosts do exist? Mel?
Yes, hon?
After the funeral tomorrow, let's get out of here. Let's go away from this place as fast as we can.
And go where?
Oh, back to Aspen, of course.
Liz, we're broke. We haven't enough dough left for a motel room. Where would we stay? How would we live?
Mel, I didn't know things were that bad for you.
Putting this place back in shape cost me just about every penny I had.
Well, look, would a loan help?
You'd be willing to...
Oh, sure. I like you two, and... Well, the way things turned out, we've gotten to know each other real fast. Practically friends. So, well, if you can use a loan...
That's generous of you, Mike.
It is generous of you, Mike, and I appreciate it, but... No, thanks.
What'll you do?
Do what you said I ought to do. Fight this thing.
Liz? Mike? If you ever come east, be sure to look me up.
We will, Mike.
Yes, of course.
You won't change your mind about the loan?
Can't. We'd only be putting off what's bound to happen. Unless...
Unless what?
Unless I can find the answer to what goes on here. There's something bothering me, something I feel that I saw somewhere but didn't pay much attention to at the time.
Well, what about it, this something?
It's just something that's bothering me is all. Something that just could give me the answer to all of this.
Well, good luck. You deserve it. Oh, there's the taxi that's going to take me to the airport. Goodbye, Liz.
Goodbye, Mike.
Bye-bye, Mike,
Bye.
and thanks. Well, we'd better get on back, Liz. Liz, you coming?
Yes. Mel, you better know it now. No matter what you intend to do, I won't be staying. Mel, we've got to face the facts. Buying this place was a big mistake. I admit it now. But there's no sense in crying over spilt milk. What's done is done. So, darling, let's just turn our backs on it, walk away from it, and start again.
Start what again? The treadmill of office work? The dreary day-to-day monotony of auditing accounts, toting up figures? I can't bear to go back to that kind of life. I have got to make a go of this. I don't have any other choice.
But is it worth your life? Ghost or no ghost, Mel, it's killed 4 people. It would have been 6 if you and Mike Duncan hadn't been lucky enough to hit that stanchion. And it will be 6 if you insist on driving that road again tonight.
6? How do you make it 6?
Well, you don't think I'm going to let you do it alone, do you?
But at the funeral, you said that you weren't even going to stay.
Because I hoped that would change your mind. But it hasn't. So you see, I have no choice either.
It's just like last night with Mike. From the top of the mountain down to Manitou, then back up again, and no sign of him.
But he did show, finally.
And Mike lost his nerve, swerved aside at the last second. Let's hope I don't lose mine.
Will it matter?
What do you mean?
Well, if you lose your nerve, we'll go off the bridge. If you don't, and the ghost car isn't a ghost car, we'll be killed in a crash.
If there is a crash, but there won't be.
You seem awfully sure of that.
I am. Remember at the cemetery I told Mike there was something I had seen but hadn't paid any attention to?
Yes.
And that if I could only remember what it was, I'd have the answer to all of this?
Yes.
Well, it's come to me. Driving up and down the mountain tonight, it suddenly came to me. See, it wasn't something I'd seen. It was something I'd heard and paid no attention to. Something I knew but didn't realize what it meant. And if I'm right, Liz, if I'm right...
What is it? What did you remember?
We're on the bridge now. Let me concentrate on driving.
Mel? Mel, there it is, the ghost car. It's coming straight for us.
Yes.
And behind the wheel, driving it, it's Rory. Oh, my God, it's Rory.
Oh, we buried Rory.
But it's his ghost, Mel.
Get your hands off the wheel. Don't try to turn the wheel.
We're going to crash. Mel.
This time he swerved and he went off the bridge, just as I knew he would.
How did you know?
Later, Liz. Right now, we better get up to the lodge and phone the sheriff.
Oh, come in, Mrs. Gormley. Mel? Mrs. Gormley's here. Please, won't you sit down?
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Mrs. Gormley. I'm sorry about last night.
I'm not.
Mrs. Gormley, Jason was your son.
Oh, he was the torment of my life. Every day I lived. Of course, I'm sorry, but I can only be glad it's over for me.
Did you know that your son was the ghost driver?
I suspected, but I was never sure. You see, it was Jason who wanted to go on living here in this house far more than I did. Oh, you can understand. He was born here. He grew up here. Started his painting career here in a fine, big studio upstairs.
Tragic. Just tragic.
Even more tragic if it hadn't been for you. How did you come to know? What made you realize that my son was the ghost driver?
A gunshot.
A gunshot?
The shot he fired to see whether the bullet he used for playing Russian roulette was live or not.
Well, I don't follow you.
You see, something kept bugging me, Mrs. Gormley, but I couldn't nail it down because I kept thinking it was something that I'd seen. But then suddenly I realized it wasn't something I'd seen, but something I'd heard. That gunshot.
I still don't...
It got me to thinking about Jason playing Russian roulette, playing with life and death. And that got me to thinking a step further. Sure, Russian roulette. Only a fool or a would-be suicide would play it. But the fact remains that the odds are in his favor. Every time Jason spun the barrel of that gun and pulled the trigger, The chances were 5-1 against firing the bullet.
Oh, but what was the connection between that and the ghost driver?
Driving a car straight at another car is just another form of Russian roulette.
Ah, yes, I see. Well, Sheriff Harper came to see me, and he said Jason was wearing a mask. A paper mache mask of your brother's face.
Yes, and it wasn't a very good likeness of my brother. But it didn't have to be. It looked enough like him to fool you when you saw it under those awful conditions. The night and the headlights and the car coming straight at you. Fear did the rest.
There must be another mask, the skeleton face.
Oh, there is. We searched the studio and we found it, Sheriff Harper and me. Yeah, well, it's all over. Jason's at peace at last. God knows I soon shall be. Well, good day. Funny, though.
What, Mrs. Gormley?
Well, we've searched and we've searched, but we couldn't find a mask of my husband's face.
What made you think there was one?
Well, you see, when I heard about the masks, I thought it must have been Jason who came and stood at the foot of my bed. Not my husband's ghost. But if it wasn't Jason, who was it? What was it?
An interesting question. What was it indeed? I'll be back shortly.
Hi, Ms. Goldilocks here. Professionally taste-testing diet drinks can be very difficult, but I've just had to bear with it. Then I found sugar-free Diet 7-Up. It doesn't taste like other diet drinks. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up tastes so good that I've taste-tested it hundreds of times, and each time I've given it my seal of approval. Yes, this one's just right.
Introducing the greatest taste to come out of your toaster since Samuel Bath Thomas baked his original English muffins in 1880. Thomas's new onion English muffins. Little bits of real onion blended into Thomas's original English muffin recipe create a tangy taste that makes everything fantastic, like burgers and cream cheese and cold cuts. Even butter tastes better. Thomas's new onion English muffins. The greatest new taste since 1880. Thomas's promises.
Hey, Pat, how tall do you think she is?
300 feet if she's an inch, Luigi, and a fine lady she is.
The year 1886. While most New Yorkers were enjoying their first look at the Statue of Liberty, a few were enjoying their first taste of Thomas's bread and discovering it was every bit as delicious as Thomas's English muffins. Today, there's still never been a lady to equal the lady, or a bread to equal Thomas's protein, whole wheat, and white bread. Thomas's promises.
Here's news from Queen Elizabeth II. Now you can sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly home free. I'll repeat that. Sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly back to New York free. She reaches Europe in 5 luxurious days. You have ample time for touring because you fly back. Meals and entertainment on board are included. A whole new crowd of people are discovering Queen Elizabeth II because she's affordable and she's fun. She has 9 bars, 4 swimming pools, 3 nightclubs, a discotheque, a gymnasium, a sauna, a casino, and 3 of the finest restaurants in the world. Sail first class grades A to H and fly home free. Sail tourist grades L to Q and S to U and fly home half fare. Flights are British Airways economy. You can stay in Europe up to 16 days. Call your travel agent or Cunard at 212-983-2510. Sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly home free. Great ships of British registry since 1840.
Our cast included Augusta Dabney, Mason Adams, Mary Jane Higby, Norman Rose, Nick Pryor, and Leon Janney. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The preceding Mystery Theater program is furnished by the CBS Radio Network. This is WOR New York.
Holden Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. Now, my commentary.
The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee said today he expects his panel to go along with President Nixon's request of today, a request for an additional 5 days to reply to a subpoena for 42 Watergate tapes. New Jersey Democrat Representative Peter Rodino said that he and the ranking Republican member of the committee had agreed to the postponement, and in Rodino's words, "I am quite confident the members of the committee will go along with it too." He told a news conference the matter will be taken up formally by his committee on Thursday. That's the day the response to the committee subpoena was due. The delay requested by the White House today would put off the response until next Tuesday. At the White House, Deputy Press Secretary Gerald Warren attributed the White House request to the pressure of business at the White House and the demands on the president's time. Chairman Rodino said that the delay was requested by James St. Clair, the president's chief Watergate attorney. It was requested in a telephone call yesterday to John Doerr, the chief counsel of the impeachment inquiry. The chairman said that he and Representative Edward Hutchinson of Michigan, the ranking Republican member of the committee, instructed Doerr to ask St. Clair why at least some of the subpoenaed material could not be furnished on Thursday. St. Clair told Doerr that the president wanted to review all of the material at once before sending it to Capitol Hill. Rodino said St. Clair, though, gave no assurance that all of the subpoenaed material would be given to the committee. Asked about reports of the White House plan to give the panel transcripts rather than tapes, Chairman Rodino replied transcripts would not be satisfactory. White House Deputy Press Secretary Warren said a lot of work has been and is being done to compile the material necessary to prepare a response. The president himself has spent many, many hours reviewing the response and has determined that he would like some extra time to review the response in its entirety. Warren would give no clue as to the likely nature of the eventual reply to the subpoena. He said only the president has not finally decided on the form and content of the response. Asked if the request for a delay might not be considered inconsistent with repeated White House calls for a speedy resolution of the impeachment question, Warren said, quote, "It is consistent with our position and with the president's position to deal responsibly with the House Judiciary Committee, and that is what we are doing." Back on April 11th, the committee voted 33-3 to subpoena the tapes that it had been seeking since February. The president also faces a second subpoena. That one has a May 2nd deadline. That one is for additional tapes and other materials that are being sought by Special Watergate prosecutor Leon Jaworski. Asked if the president might not also seek an extension of the May 2nd deadline, Warren said today, "I know of no such requests." Now, this.
What has Sheridan done for you lately? What has Sheridan done for you now?
Next time you travel to Canada for business or pleasure, you'll find 20 sparkling Sheraton hotels and motor inns, coast to coast, from Quebec to British Columbia.
What has Sheridan done for you lately?
In Toronto, the new Four Seasons Sheraton has a 5-story waterfall right in the lobby. In Vancouver, there are 2 new Sheratons. And for a reservation at any Sheraton, call 800-325-3535 or have your travel agent call. That's 800-325-3535.
That's what Sheridan done for you lately. That's what Sheridan done for you now.
Sheraton Hotels and Motor Inns worldwide.
White House officials say privately that they're not really sure how they should interpret Vice President Gerald Ford's remarks to 1,300 newspaper and broadcast industry leaders yesterday. One school of thought is that he was not taking any pot shots at the president. Others, however, read into his comments a significant break from Mr. Nixon on the Watergate tapes issue. The vice president said that the president might have tried harder to get the story of Watergate out sooner, and that he should begin cooperating as fully as possible to clear the issue up now. A committee subpoena for tapes and documents, of course, was due Thursday, but the request has been made now to postpone that till Tuesday. Ford, in his speech yesterday, said, "It's pretty hard to put yourself back into the shoes of somebody else in a situation like this. I do read the newspapers very extensively. I could not have been oblivious to some of the things that were going on that has taken place or has transpired." It would be my technique, he said, if I were in those shoes, which I hope and trust does not take place. But it would be my technique to want to find out as quickly as possible. I assume that the president did. In fact, I have good reason to believe that he did. Unfortunately, the vice president added, unfortunately, some of the people who should have known obviously did not give him the full story. Now, whether there should have been a more vigorous prosecution of all the details, that's a matter of judgment. And in my case, I think I could have tried to nudge some of my employees about as hard as I possibly could. Ford went on to say that the president knew nothing in advance about the burglary and bugging of the Democratic Party headquarters in Washington's Watergate complex during the 1972 presidential campaign. The vice president also said that he is confident that the president had not committed any impeachable offense under the Constitution. But he nonetheless urged the president to make every effort to settle the issue once and for all. The vice president said, I have indicated to him on a number of occasions that I thought he should do anything reasonable in order to clear up the problems that have developed subsequent to Watergate itself. I have consistently said the sooner any and all relevant evidence was made available, the better the Congress could consider and the American people evaluate whether or not the president was involved prior to, at the time of, or subsequent to the Watergate break-in. The vice president added, I hope and trust that sometime in the next 48 or 72 hours, the White House will cooperate to the maximum in making available to the House Committee on the Judiciary the relevant material that the committee has requested. He drew applause from his audience when he added, I strongly believe that to be the right course of action, and I hope and trust the decision follows that pattern.
Welcome to the world of eerie imagination, the fear you can hear. Vendetta. The very word itself invokes dread and strikes a mood of brooding terror. But to live on the island of Corsica, home of the vendetta, is to be steeped in the tradition of violent massacres and the fatalistic expectation of ferocious vengeance as a way of life. At least it would have been so just 100 years ago when these famous words were first written.
It was a hand. A man's hand. Not a skeleton hand, all bright and clean, but a hand black and desiccated, with the yellow nails, the naked muscles, and traces of blood upon the bones at the point where they had been severed as with the blow of an axe about the middle of the forearm. The fingers, extraordinarily long, were attached to enormous tendons, still held in their places here and there by strips of skin. That hand was something hideous. It made one think involuntarily of savage vengeance. And in spite of the putrescent look of death and dissolution, it seemed to have a life of its own.
Our mystery drama, The Hand, was especially adapted from the Guy de Maupassant classic for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Alexander Scourby. I'll be back shortly with Act 1. At the time of the bizarre and terrifying affair of The Hand, Henri Donnet was a police magistrate in Ajaccio, a charming little white city nestled on the edge of a beautiful gulf, shut in by lofty mountains. Most of the cases he had to investigate or prosecute there were cases of vendetta. But these were Corsican against Corsican. This affair of The Hand was alien against what? Something far more alien. perhaps supernatural. That was not until later, of course. For now, the only alien presence was a neighbor of Henri's, a Sir John Rowell, lately come to the island to settle down, and an object of great speculation among the native population.
Well, there goes my new neighbor again.
Does he go hunting at twilight?
No, Bernard. At least as a magistrate, I hope not.
Well, what's he shooting at then?
I don't know, Marguerite. We have no sharks. The wolves and other predators stay in the mountains, and he's not been here long enough to start a vendetta.
Oh, I am not sure. Listen to that.
Oh, no call for alarm, Doctor. I'm quite sure your services will not be needed. It is the same pattern night and morning.
Well, Henri, then what is he shooting at?
A target, I suppose. He's keeping his eye sharp.
But for what?
Ah, now, that is the question.
Have you seen him? He is immense and very powerful.
And he doesn't encourage visitors. He has 2 huge Alsatian hounds that look ready for the kill at a word.
You are chief magistrate and in a far better position to judge him than any Henri. What do you make of him?
I don't know. His papers are in order. I've no reason to have any professional interest in him.
Well, has he no one to share his loneliness?
He has a manservant he brought with him from Marseille.
No one else.
There was a woman listed on the ship's manifest as his wife.
Oh, his wife. Well, I never knew. Well, then, but no one seems to know that.
In the months he's been here, no one has seen hide nor hair of her. I've watched these evenings myself, and I've never seen her move from the house. If, indeed, she is inside it. So you see, Marguerite, very soon, both as friend and policeman, I'm going to have to satisfy your curiosity and my own about the mysterious Sir John Rowell. For a while, however, I had to content myself with having a close watch set over the man. None of my people could find anything suspicious enough in his actions for us to make any move. But as the strange rumors about him continued and increased, I resolved to see the stranger face to face for myself. I made a point of going hunting every day in the neighborhood of his place. It took me a little while, but at last, one day... So, bien, Fernand, hold the point. You flushed him, Got him right under the Englishman's nose. Go fetch him, Fernand. Fernand, hold. Hold on.
Whiskey! Down, boy, down!
That's it. Good dog. Hold.
Here, Whiskey, here. My apologies, sir. You're a bird, I believe?
No, not at all. I shot him right from under you. Sorry. I didn't know you were there.
Nor I you. Allow me. I'm John Rowell.
Yes, I know, Sir John. I am your neighbor up there on the hill. Henri Donnet.
Pleasure. Fine shot.
Sir John, will you accept the game as an apology for shooting over your field?
That's very generous. I'll accept on one condition.
And what's that, Sir John?
That you let me return the compliment and ask you to join me in a glass of ale.
Good. I will be only too glad to accept. It was less the heat of the day than my professional interest that prompted me to accept the invitation from the tall man with the red hair and beard. Very tall indeed. And also very broad, a sort of placid and polite Hercules. I was most anxious to be able to question him about his life and his projects.
Joseph, out here on the veranda. Change your mind and have something stronger?
Oh, no. Ale will be perfect.
Are you cold, Sir John? Yes, 2 glasses of ale for Monsieur Donnet and myself. Very well, sir. And bring a cut of Stilton and some water biscuits. You like our English cheeses?
Oh, yes, I do. We are quite insular enough here on Corsica. It's a rare pleasure to indulge in a foreign taste.
I know what you mean. Still, I can't feel that Corsica, or for that matter, anything French is anyway foreign to me. Now, Joseph, splendid. Thank you. Put the tray on the table here. Yes, you can loose the dogs again. It'll be quite safe while I'm with Monsieur Donnet. Very well, sir.
Oh, those are the big Alsatians I see occasionally, huh?
2 of them.
Yes. They look quite savage and fierce. Do you think perhaps my dog will...
Oh, have no fear. Castor and Pollux are as docile as kittens where other animals are concerned. They're trained as man-killers.
Huh?
And then, only at my command. Your health, Monsieur Donnet?
To yours. Delicious. So refreshing.
As the view of the sun setting across that blue Mediterranean water.
Yes. Does Madame Rowell also share your enthusiasm for your adopted island?
Lady Rowell is an invalid. I hope to nurse her back to health here.
Oh, if I could suggest the offices of my good friend Dr. Forestier.
If a doctor should be needed.
Oh, forgive me. I had no desire
There's
to
nothing
pry.
to pry into. Natural curiosity.
I must admit, I do find it hard to cast you in the category of a recluse.
Oh, yes. I've traveled a great deal. Africa, India, even America. And as for adventures, yes, I've had plenty of adventures. Oh, yes.
Big game hunting, huh?
What? Oh, of course. I've hunted them all. Tiger, elephant, rhinoceros, gorilla. The name's a legion.
Oh, all very dangerous animals. Terribly so.
Not really. When you compare them to the worst of all.
Oh, what?
What else, Monsieur Donnet? In your profession, you must know him too. Man. Man himself.
Hey, Sir John, come quickly.
What on earth?
Sir John.
Forgive me.
No.
I followed Sir John down the front steps of the veranda as he took them two at a time and disappeared around the corner of the house. I would have followed him further, except as chance had it, I turned my ankle quite severely on a loose stone after the bottom step. Stopping in momentary pain, the yelp and snarl of the dog suddenly quieted, and I was conscious of the squeak of the front door of the house. Arrested, I looked up to see, framed in the doorway, a tall, emaciated woman with great bruised half circles underlining her eyes that stared with a feverish gleam. She wore a long, loose, trailing peignoir, and with one hand she beckoned towards me while clutching something in the other close beneath her breast. Painfully, I limped back up the steps.
Help me, whoever you are. Help me.
Lady Rowell?
Whoever I am, this side of the grave, help me.
But how?
By sending this letter. Post haste. Oh, but please, I beg of you on all our lives. Don't tell such a...
Well, I'm afraid, madame,
Please, don't refuse me. You're my last, best hope.
Hope for what?
I cannot stay in case he returns. But please, I beg of you, send my letter.
She was gone. Like a wraith, as though she'd never been. But the letter in my hand was real enough. Before I had time to read the person to whom it was addressed, I found myself involuntarily concealing it in my pocket before Sir John, returning, could see it. Nor could I stop to ponder why my impulse had been to accept the lady's part rather than that of my charming and seemingly outgoing host. Why I chose to conceal its existence rather than reveal it.
My dear Monsieur Donnet, pray forgive me. I'm most sorry we had to be interrupted.
Oh, forgive me for not following you, but I turned my ankle. What happened?
Oh, the curse of trying to maintain privacy. The curiosity seeker. A farmer from back in the hills named Deschamps, who passes by here on his daily route, for some unearthly reason came skulking round the back of the house and was cornered by the dogs.
But what would he have expected to find here?
Heaven knows. I've no secrets worth anyone's concern but my own, as I hope you believe. Or is your presence here today more than just a seeming accident? Are you concealing something from me, sir?
I was aware that he wore about his loins an American-style gun belt, and that low on each hip, concealed by the flare of his coattails, were two matched pistols with mother-of-pearl handles, on one of which his right hand rested lightly. The letter in my pocket seemed to burn through the lining as I tried to judge whether it caressed that handle by accident or design.
only the hands of Sir John, neither of which is the one in the title of our story. To meet that special hand, you must return with me shortly for Act 2. The huge red-haired and bearded Englishman towers over the small, dapper Frenchman. They are as widely disparate men as you can imagine. One all muscle and vital force, the other elastic, supple, poised always for the counterstroke, like a rapier. Antagonists? No, only in a sense. But whatever their relationship, mutually admiring of each other.
Why should you imagine I have anything to conceal? Why, indeed. Come, let's go inside. I'll show you some of the trophies of a roving life, if you'd be interested.
But very, of course.
Can you stand on your ankle all right? Is it sprained?
No. Just a slight twist. From the hall, he led me into his parlor, which ran the length and breadth of the whole house across the back in a great L. His parlor was all hung in black silk, embroidered in gold.
The fabric is Japanese work.
Yes, but the rest is yours.
Not the panels. What's mounted on them?
Yes, tiger, lion, black panther. Those I recognize. And elephant tusks, I see.
The hippo and he and the rhino are a little large for mounting.
The rhinoceros is the most dangerous of all, I suppose.
Except, as I told you before.
Now, you're not honestly going to tell a policeman that you're a manhunter.
Not within the confines of civilization, I hope. But I've done a good deal of manhunting, too, in my time.
As a soldier?
That's a profession, not a sport. I've saved a mount in the center for the ultimate trophy. But never had, shall we say, the courage to make the necessary bag to mount it.
I was following the direction of his gaze to a gapingly empty panel in this bizarre and gory collection from the hunt. A panel conspicuous from all the others since it was lined in red velvet, as if in expectance of framing the pièce de résistance. What would you hope to put there?
Once, I would have been tempted. Now, nothing. I keep it there to remind me that it could be my own head that poetic justice could have easily decided to frame. Oh, gad, it's suddenly getting dark.
Yes, then I must be off for home. I mustn't hold up your dinner.
I've enjoyed our meeting thoroughly. Please, come again. You're always welcome.
I am not quite so sure of your Alsatians.
Oh, you need have no worry. From now on, they'll treat you as a friend, as I hope I can.
As I want to be. We shook hands, mine disappearing inside his huge one. My conscience stinging at me as I fought a battle between Donnet the man and Donnet the policeman. Climbing the hill back to my villa with Fernand frisking along beside me, I tried to tell myself I was only being practical, that I was giving myself time to make my decision. A decision that was tipped by the testimony I received from Michel Deschamps as I questioned him at the barracks the following morning. Michel, why did you go so near to his house?
Well, everybody is curious about him and...
Everybody doesn't go near enough to have two dogs attack him.
Well, everybody does not have a milk route which takes him twice a day by the Englishman's house to see her.
What, to see her?
Well, it is at dawn, you know. Just before the sun comes up in the half-light and I am passing by in my cart. Naturally, I'm looking at the house when I pass.
Naturally, I would myself.
So, you see, at that hour, nobody is stirring. Even the dogs are not yet awake. And then I see by the upstairs window a woman. The first few days, I'm not sure. I I cross myself she's not some witch or somebody who wants to steal my soul.
Why would she be a witch?
Because, at any rate, in that light, she looked so... I was afraid to answer.
To answer what?
Her signal to come near to her. She kept beckoning as if there was something she must ask me to do. Finally, yesterday morning, I could stand it no longer. I had to go see what she wanted to ask. Was that so wrong?
No, of course not, Michel. I would have done the same. But the dog stopped you, huh?
Yes. In a way, I'm sorry.
Don't feel that you let her down. But from now on, mind your own business.
Oh, I accept your instruction. I will follow what you advocate.
What I advocate, by all means. Not what I do.
I don't understand you.
Sometimes, even a magistrate has to admit, I do not understand myself. But that is not for you to worry about. That very morning, there was a mail packet sailing. And I sent off the letter, quickly, almost surreptitiously, without looking at the address, except for the fact that it was to the United States of America. And I forgot it, I imagined. And the months went by.
Oh, I do think it's very tedious of you, Henri.
Madame Forestier.
Oh, well, either for reasons of your own, you are protecting our most famous visitor from the rest of us, or, well, he has some hold over you to protect his precious privacy.
He has no hold over me. Quite the contrary. But if he wishes to be private, I would be the first to protect his right.
Well, on a small island like this, why should he have it any more than the rest of us?
Touché. But if he can, why shouldn't he?
Oh, Henri, you know I don't know how to answer that. All I want to know is, do I have any hope that they might attend my garden fete next month?
They?
Well, there is a Madame Roel.
Yes, but she is sickly.
Well, is there some hope that at least Sir John might be coaxed to appear?
No, I have no reason to suppose that he would refuse. Now, Lady Roll, I would find it hard to answer for.
Well, then all I want for you is to issue the invitation. Please, may I count on you for that?
Marguerite. We're all old friends. Need you ask? I had my doubts about Sir John, and more particularly his lady, attending any local garden fete. But I could scarcely, in my wildest imaginings, have foreseen how extravagantly and tragically it would be impossible. As I approached the house in the hollow below me, I was in a first-class mood because, in addition to a packet from the mail ship for my host, I also bought a bottle of sherry to share with him that, in my opinion, was one of a kind. He met me at the veranda.
Well, this is an unexpected pleasure.
We had a mail ship in today. I brought you a parcel.
Me?
Yes.
And I thought I'd outstrip the mail. Vain hope. A parcel, you say?
This.
What on earth? It might be a gun from its shape, but it scarcely weighs enough. Shall we go in the parlor while I open my surprise parcel?
As we moved into that parlor, I was super conscious of my host's reaction to the parcel he bore in his hands. Although there was no superscription from the sender, I had an infallible feeling that he sensed exactly where it had come from. That somehow I was accidentally part of a climax in the life of this strange and vital man.
We've talked about my trophies, Monsieur Donnet.
Yes.
The ones I've mounted, the others too clumsy and large to render that way.
Yes.
And the third and different class, so far I've had no right nor courage to mount.
What are you saying, Sir John?
There is no reason for my receiving this parcel that I can conceive, except one. That I've found no refuge here. I've been betrayed. Only my wife could have done that. And who else is there to have aided her determination to destroy me?
You're asking me?
Yes. You're the only link we have to the world beyond this house.
Sir John, believe me, I had no wish to betray you.
I'm sure of that.
The day we met, your wife, while you were calming the dogs, your wife asked me to send a letter for her.
To Richard Roll?
Well, I must admit I did not read the address. I did notice that it was to the United States of America. I meant no harm.
He meant no harm. Like Pandora, who naively opened a chest to loose pestilence and all the evils of the world to plague mankind, he meant no harm.
It seemed a simple and reasonable request.
So you exceeded. No doubt she also asked you to conceal the fact of the letter from me.
Yes, I'm afraid she did.
Were you sorry for her ravaged looks, her haunted eyes? Did you picture me as some monstrous jailer, condemning her to a life of solitary confinement?
Sir John, I can only defend my action by telling you that at the time she did engage my sympathy.
I told you, I believe, that my wife was not in the best of health.
Yes, but...
The fault perhaps was all mine. I should have told you that she is insane.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
A little late for that. Done. You may have sealed her death warrant. Perhaps even mine.
Good God, what do you mean?
This parcel from America. Would you like to see what evil out of hell your acceding to that simple and reasonable request has set loose?
Sir John,
you have involved yourself in this on a personal level. Now I want to involve you on a professional one. As police magistrate, I want you as witness when I open this gift from America. The outer wrapping. Now what do you see?
A box.
And within it?
Something wrapped in canvas.
You wrinkle your nose against the smell?
Yes, it's very strong.
And very familiar?
Yes, formaldehyde.
Which is used to preserve flesh from mortifying. There's a drawstring on the canvas, which I'm opening. And I'm about to show you my present from the other side of the world.
You sound as if you know what it is.
I only wish to God I thought I didn't.
I echoed the same wish. But it didn't change the contents. It was a hand. A man's hand. Not a skeleton hand, all bright and clean, but a hand black and desiccated, with traces of blood upon the bones at the point where they had been severed as with the blow of an axe about the middle of the forearm. The fingers, extraordinarily long, were attached to enormous tendons still held in their places by strips of skin. Flayed as it was, that hand was something hideous. It made one think involuntarily of savage vengeance. And in spite of the putrescent look of death and dissolution it had, it seemed to have a life of its own.
So now we see the embodiment of the title of our story. A poor choice of words, since nothing can be more disembodied than a severed hand. Whose hand? And why? And are these nerveless fingers really capable of writing a death warrant? I'll return shortly with Act 3. In sick horror, his stomach churning with revulsion, Monsieur Denay looks at the loathsome object spilled on the desk between him and Sir John. In macabre fascination, his eyes seem riveted to the severed hand. It is only by a supreme effort of will that he is at last able to drag them away and up to Sir John's grim and haunted face.
What is it?
The hand of a thief.
But why? Why is it sent to you?
So that there'll be no mistake in my mind who sends it.
You said before, Richard Roll. A relation?
My twin brother. younger by less than an hour. As the firstborn, I acceded to the title. The barony was mine, and the living that went with it. Richard had nothing except my bounty. Our whole life was a gigantic struggle for supremacy. He, because I denied it him. I, because I had to hold it.
If you had everything and he had nothing, what chance did he stand against you?
Well, I'm English, and I believe in fair play. I couldn't share the title, but I made sure the living was shared equally. I'm not ill-favored, and I'm exceptionally powerful and large. But Richard was taller by 2 inches, stronger by far, and a wild and darkly handsome man that stirred women to a passion beyond their senses. Until Claire.
Madame Rouault?
My wife, yes. Whatever her true name should be now. When we were married, my brother Richard emigrated to the States.
And you have never seen him since?
Oh, yes, I have seen him. I'd hoped for the last time. Will you forgive me now? There's been too much talk, and I must find a place to hang my latest trophy.
To hang it? You can't...
I think I've had quite enough interference from you in my affairs, Monsieur Donnet. I must ask you to leave my house. You're no longer welcome.
It seemed a long journey up the hill that night, for I did not climb it alone. On the way back to my house, I was haunted by 100 thoughts. Had I done wrong to send the letter? Whose was the severed hand? What was the mystery of Sir John's retirement? And what motivated the vendetta of his brother against him? Old jealousies? Or was it all as simple as chercher la femme? Certainly, she would not be hard to find. It must be the Lady Rouault, if a woman was at the heart of it all. Only one thing I could be sure of now, that I should not be seeing him again. But I was badly mistaken about that. Well, Joseph, what brings you here?
Begging your honour's pardon, but Sir John asked if it would be convenient for you to wait on him this evening.
Of course, when?
If it would suit your honour, now would be fine.
It suits me.
After my churlishness on your last visit, I'm more than touched that you do me this honor, Monsieur Donnet.
Since I'm still concerned that I may have done you more harm than honor, I couldn't have hesitated.
I've some papers here on my desk that I wish to leave in your charge, after asking you and Joseph to witness them.
What kind of papers, Sir John?
My last will and testament, some property assignments, the legal debris that follows sudden death. Joseph?
Yes, Sir John.
Will you sign here and here?
Yes, sir.
Is there all this immediacy, sir?
In the midst of life, are we not all equally in the midst of death? Thank you, Joseph. You may go.
Yes, Sir John.
Now, you, Monsieur Donnet?
If you want me to. But I see no reason why. Whatever polite disclaimer was on my lips, it was frozen at that moment as my eyes fell on a blood-chilling sight. A black object in the midst of the empty panel lined with red velvet. Empty no longer. It was the hand, mounted now as the chief of all trophies. But different from all the others in one respect. They were mounted. This was imprisoned. Round the wrist, an enormous chain of iron had been rivened about the foul relic, and this chain fastened the hand to the wall by a great ring, solid enough to hold an elephant in leash. Good God!
Ah, yes, the hand. Well, better than my own head, if I can keep it. Will you sign?
Yes, of course. What is it? That hand?
That was part of my best enemy. It was cut off with a saber. Good thing for me, I can tell you.
It's huge. Enormously powerful. The man must have been very strong.
And so far, I've proved stronger. I put the chain on the hand to hold it.
The chain is no use now. The hand can't get away.
The chain is necessary. This hand always tries to get away.
That night, I had a hideous nightmare. I dreamt I saw the hand, the horrible hand, running like a scorpion or a spider along the curtains and up and down the walls of my room. 3 times I woke up. 3 times I went to sleep again. 3 times I saw the ghastly thing running all over my room and using its fingers like so many legs. The next morning, I was awakened by the news that Sir John Roll had been murdered during the night. For God's sake, Bernard, act like a doctor instead of some frightened schoolgirl.
No, you have not seen him yet, old friend.
Well, is it the first corpse either of us has had the misfortune to look at?
Just like this.
Oh, how did he die?
The cause of death was strangling, but under what shocking conditions. I tell you, Henri, in 30 years as a physician, I have never seen anything like it.
In what way?
We found him lying on his back in the middle of the room. His coat was torn, one shirt sleeve half pulled off was hanging down. There was every indication that a fearsome struggle had taken place. His face was black and swollen, frightfully distorted. But the most noticeable and terrifying thing was his expression.
His expression?
Absolute, hideous fear. And small wonder. For in the welter of blood that was coagulated about his throat, 5 separate wounds pierced through it as though driven by points of iron.
Only 5?
It was as if he had been strangled by a skeleton. But that is odd.
What?
What you just said. Only 5. Well, of course, how stupid of me. There was only evidence of one hand having done the strangling. That makes it even more bizarre.
Is there anything even faintly normal about this whole affair? Now, Joseph, you heard no unusual noise during the night.
Oh, no, monsieur le magistrate.
You sleep where?
Well, here in that little room off the kitchen there.
And there was no sound from the dogs all night long?
Oh, no, sir.
Yet if a stranger had approached the house...
Oh, those dogs would have torn him apart if he was a stranger.
But they were quiet? You would have heard them if they had not been, huh?
Well, I'm a very light sleeper.
Yeah. Did you sleep late this morning?
No. I'm awake before cocks crow, you see. So many things to be done. Water to be drawn, the fire to be laid.
Yes. And that's what you were busy with when Lady Rowell left the house?
Well, I was already preparing breakfast for Sir John and a tray to bring up to... You see, that's why I was so surprised when she walked into the kitchen fully dressed.
And what did you say to that?
Well, it's not my place to ask. I just said, what do you want?
And?
Well, she said she didn't want anything. Just that she was feeling better. And if Sir John should ask about her, she was off for a little walk along the beach.
Oh, that didn't strike you as peculiar?
Oh, it most certainly did.
And did she go towards the beach?
Well, I would have thought so. I didn't actually check on it. Why?
You're not aware that she's disappeared?
Oh, no, sir.
We'll leave that for a moment. All right, then what did you do then?
Well, once I had everything simmering right for breakfast, I went up to Sir John's room to assist him in his toilet.
You were in this habit?
Every morning, regular as clockwork.
Continue.
Well, he wasn't there, sir. His bed hadn't been slept in. Turned down just the way I left it the night before. So I became alarmed. Everything was out of sorts, you see.
I see. And then you came downstairs and found him.
That's right. Oh, covered with blood from head to foot. It just don't signify.
What does that mean?
Well, you knew, Sir John, sir, if ever there was a man built and ready to take care of himself, it was he. Why, he never slept without having loaded pistols or revolvers within arm's reach. And he knew how to use them.
Yes. Have you any idea who killed him?
Oh, no, sir.
Could it have been Lady Roll?
Not a chance, sir.
I met her once. She was a tall woman.
Oh, but wasted away, Your Honor, and weak as a kitten.
Then who?
I don't know, sir. I don't even want to know.
Neither did I. Or at least to check on what was in my mind. But I had a duty to my position, and I must admit a morbid drive to support my supposition. He was lying, just as he is now, on this carpet here.
That's right, sir.
His feet pointed in the same direction.
Toward the door.
And his head?
As it is, sir. Towards the panel directly ahead of you.
Sensation that lifted the hackles on my neck. I knew, before I looked, what I was going to say. The sight that I had fought against making a reality. At last, involuntarily, I lifted my eyes to the wall, to the panel where the horrible flayed hand used to be. It was no longer there. The chain, broken, was dangling from the ring. But even that horror was to be succeeded by another. As I bent again over the man, between his clenched teeth, I found one of the fingers of the vanished hand, severed or rather sawed off by the teeth about the middle of the second joint.
Henri, forgive us for violating the sacred precincts of your police office, but the axle of my carriage is broken and we are here to beg you to carry us home.
If you are ready to go.
I'm always at your service. And tonight, since it grows dark early these evenings, I will welcome company.
But surely you're not still brooding over Sir John and his vanished lady?
The missing Lady Rowell I can accept. Our Gulf is beautiful, but the tides are treacherous, and her hold on life at best was tenuous. Perhaps she wanted to end it. The mystery of Sir John is something else again.
Something best forgotten, I think.
Yes. But it doesn't seem to want to be. Let me show you. Marguerite, forgive me. If you feel faint, close your eyes.
Yes.
Bernard, you remember you said he might have been strangled by a skeleton?
Yes.
Yeah. Might he have been strangled by this?
Good Lord. So that is the famous hand, huh? Yes, if it were possible, such a hand could have made the wounds on his throat, but where did you find this?
It was discovered last night in the cemetery on the tomb of Sir John Roll. And mark one thing well.
What?
The index finger is missing. The one we found in the corpse's mouth.
The hand of a thief, Sir John Roll said. His brother Richard? Bought his soul? What did he steal? His wealth? His reputation? His wife? And if his brother, in some gargantuan and titanic duel, struck off his hand, and Richard sought vengeance, which of his hands was the instrument that brought an end to the intense and private vendetta? De Maupassant doesn't tell us. Wisely, he leaves that to us to decide for ourselves. I'll be back shortly. I won't easily close my eyes tonight, for fear that my mind's eye will conjure up a vision of the black and desiccated hand with the yellow nails, scrabbling like some loathsome crab across the floor, up and over my bed, and scuttling around the walls. Its 4 good fingers moving like spider legs, the mutilated stump of the 5th like a head. Our cast included Alexander Scorby, Ian Martin, Mildred Clinton, and Guy Sorrell. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
And now, a preview of our next tale.
You will be haunted by the magnet that drew you to me. The weapon with which I ruined your life and will destroy you. My smile, Ernest. My smile.
No.
Look at me. Sensuous lips bearing milk white, perfectly matched teeth. Look.
Here, let me.
She's falling across the table.
I think... Yes. She's gone. Berenice is... No.
Ernest, don't.
Her mouth. She is staring at me with her teeth. Anthony, in heaven's name, close her mouth. Close her mouth!
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams. Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to another adventure into the incomprehensible. I like to think of myself as a thinking person, a reflective man, someone not given to fanciful imaginings. That's the way I like to think of myself. But is that the way I am? Because I must admit that my thinking has not solved many problems for me. My reflections have not carried me very far. So now and again I find it extremely salutary to indulge in fanciful imaginings, to take a short walk into the world of obscurantism. For as you will hear one of our characters say, the mind makes so many mistakes. Our mystery drama, Sunset to Sunrise, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Marion Seldes. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Oh, sure. You can talk about good-tasting diet drinks, but I know. I'm Goldilocks, and here at my taste-testing laboratory, I taste-test them all. And nobody's been drinking my diet drinks until I tested sugar-free Diet 7-Up. And then, kabloomy, every bear wanted some. Diet 7-Up is fresh, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
Amco Transmissions, Chuck speaking. How may we help you?
Oh, boy, have I got problems. I got a really fantastic 58 Pontiac with a busted automatic transmission and a mother-in-law that's been visiting me for 10 days.
well, we can help you with the Pontiac.
No, don't kid a desperate man. Now, look, can you really fix up a car that old?
Oh, sure. Amco serviced over 3 million automatic transmissions, and over 400,000 of them were Pontiacs. We know Pontiac's cold.
Pontiac, Ventura, and the Firebird, and the Bonneville, Catalina, and also Grand Prix.
Terrific. Okay, look, you send the tow truck and I'll help her pack.
Oh, you mean...
Yeah, the 58 Pontiac belongs to my mother-in-law.
Aw, nobody knows her automatic transmission better than AMCO. Double A. MCO.
There are over 500 AMCO centers coast to coast. Consult your yellow pages for the AMCO center near you. AAMCO, AMCO.
It's over. I've done it. And the mutilated body lies silent and still at my feet. Let her release come soon. Let me try to explain how I came to do this awful thing. It will be necessary to go back, far back, even to the day I was born, or farther than that, the hour when, awash in her warm blood, I felt myself pushed down that dark canal into the chilling light. Oh, yes. The woman who lies before me is my mother. But I shall content myself with reverting to the day of her funeral. A gray and dismal day. A long line of villagers passed by the open coffin. I waited with my father until the last of them should have finished viewing the corpse.
Marie isn't here.
She will be, Father.
And Peter?
Oh, I'm not so sure about Peter.
His own mother? Not to be here?
He's drowning his sorrow, I think.
Oh, you were right about Marie. Here she comes.
How strange she looks. How quite distraught.
I wouldn't know why. She never had any affection for her mother-in-law.
Hello, Marie. We were worried.
Oh, I'm not too late, am I?
No, the funeral hasn't even started.
I mean, they haven't closed the coffin.
Not yet.
Good.
I suppose Peter's...
Where does your brother go when he's needed somewhere?
To a bar. I know.
At least today, Marie, try to think kindly of your husband.
You think kindly of him? He's your son.
We can move up now. Marie, you go first.
No. Let your father go first.
Father?
Oh, all right.
How sad. How small he looks.
Yes. Small.
You go next, Marie. Marie stood for a second or two by the open coffin, then moved on. Now it was my turn. My eyes filled suddenly with tears. And when I looked down at the quiet body, the expressionless face of my mother, I could scarcely make out her features. I shook the tears away, and I made an effort to see her clearly. Across her breast lay a long spray of wild roses. Without conscious thought, I did what I had never done while she lived. I leaned over and kissed her on the lips. The funeral was over. I sat dry-eyed through it all, and I saw the tears stream down my father's face. After it was over, he said to me,
Would you walk home with me, Una?
Of course I will, Father.
Do you think you could stay and talk for a while? Maybe I could fix you a little supper.
Oh, I'd like that very much.
Ilya won't mind?
Oh, it doesn't matter about Ilya. I took his hand. He let me have it like a trusting child. And we started down the road. The familiar landscape had embraced me all my life. And now it brought back sights and sounds from long ago. And on this day, most particularly, the sight and sound of my mother as I had known her. I saw her handsome, flushed face. I heard her voice.
How sharper than a serpent's tooth to have a thankless child. What have I done that was so wrong? Why am I being punished? To be given a daughter with no shame, no morals, no sense of decency.
My father trudged on beside me without speaking. His tears had dried. He looked as he'd always looked. Very sweet, very simple. She had been the single love of his life. I had never heard him speak of any other woman. He'd fallen in love with her when she was 16 and waited 5 years to marry her.
It was my mother who got me to marry him. But he wasn't really of my world. Nothing intellectual about him. What could you expect of a farmer?
But marry him she did. And he never asked for anything else. The 2 children she bore him, first my brother Peter, and then me, well, we were simply 2 minor gifts she added to the supreme one of herself. And Peter always belonged more to her than to him.
It's hell to be poor, Peter. Never let it happen to you. Oh, the stories I could tell you about what poverty can do to the ardent soul.
It took Peter a while to get started, but once he got his foot on the ladder, he climbed steadily to the top. And along the way, he married the prettiest girl in town, the dark-eyed Marie.
We're here, Una.
What?
You were dreaming. We're at the house.
Oh, yeah, I must have been dreaming.
Oh, it's a long time. Very long time since you've been in the old house.
2 years.
You're happy living with Elia?
I don't ask to be happy.
But you're pleased with the arrangement?
It pleases us both.
Go on in.
It looks the same.
Well, nothing's changed. Can I get you something? A hot drink?
No, you sit down and I'll get you something. Oh, take off your coat. Let me help you.
Yes, thank you.
What's this? What's inside your coat?
What? Oh, that I forgot.
Well, it's sewn in. Did you do that? What is it?
Well, it's a sprig of blackthorn.
Well, that's what I thought. Why is it sewn inside your coat?
Marie put it there.
Well, what on earth for?
Una, sit down now. You know, Marie's a strange girl. She came here from another country and where they believe strange things.
Such as what?
Well, you must know. Elia must have told you.
Elia's parents were gypsies, but he's not.
But he hasn't forgotten, has he? What they believe, the gypsies.
You don't mean that you...
They believe in the living who refuse to die.
You mean vampires? That is what you mean, isn't it?
I never said I believe.
But you let her sew the blackthorn into your coat?
Well, I couldn't stop her.
But why now? Why today? Oh. You don't mean... Mother?
Marie believes your mother has become a vampire.
I wanted to laugh. We were sober, hard-working, God-fearing people. We were not superstitious, given to odd beliefs. But I looked into my father's face, and I could not laugh.
I've never believed, but...
But what?
I have heard that people of great energy, enormous will, with a surpassing belief in themselves, these are the people who will not die. They refuse to die. When death is upon them, they are so angry that they will not submit. You know, Una, what energy your mother had, what a dominating person she was, how much she believed in herself.
She never believed in us, only in herself.
That's the way she was. And they say that people like that would rather live the evil life of a vampire than not live at all.
Well, I can't believe it. It's horrible.
Well, I don't want to believe it, but Marie seems so sure.
Well, I'm going to talk to her right now. I won't stay for supper. Forgive me. I have to get this terrible notion out of Marie's head before she infects anyone else with it. I walked to the village, to the affluent section of the village where Marie and Peter lived. Their house sat on a beautiful green lawn surrounded by an iron fence with a big gate. I pushed it open, and I went inside and up the long gravel path.
Una, don't come any nearer.
Don't be absurd, Marie.
I don't want you in my house.
We have to talk about this crazy idea you have, Marie.
Your father told you.
I found the blackthorn you sewed into his coat.
It may protect him.
And it was you who put the wild roses on her body, wasn't it?
To keep her in her coffin. I had to do what I could.
Oh, but this is all a great foolishness, Marie. Whatever gave you such a crazy idea about your mother-in-law?
It's not a crazy idea. I felt it even before she died. I sensed that she'd never leave us alone. She'd rather turn into something loathsome and feed off us, drain our strength, drink our blood. And it's happening. It's happening. You want to come in the house? Come. I want you to come in. I want you to see your brother.
Is Peter all right?
All right? I don't know what you call all right. But look at him. There on the sofa.
Oh, Peter.
He's been that way since your mother died, and a good deal of the time before that. Do you think I've had a husband? Do you think that bloated hulk has been a man? Ever?
Oh, what has that to do with...
Don't you know? Don't you know that vampires have such power over young married people? Don't you know that?
No.
Well, ask Elia. He knows.
Elia's not a gypsy, not anymore.
Ask his mother. Ask his father. Ask old Wanda Beresti. Ask
Oh, it's all fable and myth. It's not real.
Do you know that I may never have a child? Or you? Do you know that?
No.
If she decides, we'll be barren forever. That's the kind of power they have.
Oh, you'll never make me believe it.
You have got to believe. You of all people.
Why me?
Because you are a fire.
What's that? What is a damn fire?
One born of a vampire. Only a damn fire can see a vampire.
But I can't see my mother. I'm not a damn fire.
Go home. Go home, Una. One of these nights, between sunset and sunrise, you will see her.
We'll be back shortly with Act 2.
When you say Budweiser, when you say Bud, you've said a lot of things nobody else can say. When you say Bud, you've gone as far as you can go to get the very best. When you say Bud, you've said the word that means you like to do it all. When you say Bud, it means you want the beer that's got a taste that's number one. When you say Bud, you tell the world you know what makes it all the way. When you say Bud, you say you care enough to only want the king of beers. There is no other one. There's only something less, because the king of beers is leading all the rest. When you say Bud, you've said it all.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Hey, ma'am, what's for dinner? Hey, ma'am, what you got?
How about a no-cook dinner for a change? Serve a delicious spread of sliced meats, cheeses, salads, and crisp rolls from ShopRite's appetizer counter. You'll love the freshness, the fine quality, and the pleasing variety. This week's Bits Buys are ShopRite freshly sliced chicken roll, half pound, 69 cents. Imported Switzerland Swiss cheese, half pound, 89 cents. ShopRite liverwurst, 99 cents a pound. Fresh macaroni salad, 39 cents a pound. So relax. Pick up a ready-to-eat dinner at the ShopRite appetizer counter.
She loves her family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
This is WOR New York, an RKO General Station, your station for Mystery Theater.
But they're all superstition, Una. Handed down from generation to generation.
You don't believe them?
I used to when I was very young. You see, the stories were always about very, very powerful people. I think they couldn't get used to the idea that very powerful people could actually die.
My mother was a very powerful woman.
Ah, but she died. Like everybody else, sooner or later.
You never really knew my mother.
I wasn't welcome in her house.
I think I only came here to live with you to spite her. All my life she told me how immoral I was, how wicked, how filled with wild desires.
And you were?
Yes.
And you knew where to take those wild desires, didn't you?
Yes.
And what man to give them to?
Yes.
Well, lucky me.
It was to show her, to say yes to her. Yes, I am like that. Yes, I'm what you say. Yes, I'm loose and immoral and wicked and all those things. And yes, you're right not to love me because I'm not lovable. I'm hateful and vile.
No, no. You are not hateful.
Oh, you don't know.
I know enough. Lie still now. Let me hold you.
Yes. Hold me.
What's that?
What's what?
I thought I heard something.
I don't hear anything.
Don't you hear it? Listen.
You don't...
It's a bat.
A bat? Turn on the light.
No, please. I don't want to see it.
Ilya, get rid of it.
I won't touch it.
What are you doing?
I'm putting on my clothes.
Why?
It's your mother. It's your mother, Una. She's back.
It's not. You said you didn't.
Never mind what I said. I was wrong.
It's a bat in the rafters. It's not my mother.
How do you know? How do you know for sure?
Be.
The old women were right. They come back, you see.
No.
They come back to live off the living and suck our blood.
Ilya, where are you going?
To my mother's house.
Ilya, don't go. Mother? All night long, I lay in the dark, listening to the bats swoop and chatter in the rafters. Sunset to sunrise, I lay awake and listened. For as the warning light of the sun started to glow in the east, the bat was suddenly quiet. Hadn't Marie told me that the old stories all agreed that vampires could only venture out between sunset and sunrise? The bat was gone. And I was alone. Then came a pounding at the door. I got out of bed and I went to answer it. Had Ilya come back? Had he thought better of his foolish fears and come back? Ilya? Oh, Peter.
Let me in, Una.
Yes, come in.
I have to talk to you.
You're very drunk.
Never mind. Never mind about that. I have to ask you something important.
Well, first tell me why you didn't come to our mother's funeral.
Never mind about that either.
Marie was there.
Marie was not there. Not for the funeral. She went to the church to put some wild roses on the body. She didn't stay to see her buried. Not that she's really buried. Not that she'll ever be really buried. She'll be around for a long time till she's drained us all dry, and long after that, maybe forever, who knows? Do vampires ever really die?
Peter, stop that. Our mother is not a vampire.
Is it true? Marie says it's true.
Is what true, Peter?
Did you kiss her? When she was lying in her coffin, did you really kiss her?
Yes, I did.
Oh, no. Why did you do that?
I don't know quite. I think it was because I'd never kissed her before, and I was sorry that I hadn't.
Don't you know what you've done?
I haven't done anything.
You've put your lips to her poison. You've made yourself like her.
I haven't done anything. I said goodbye to her. I kissed her goodbye, that's all.
Don't you know that vampires spread their foul contagion on the living? Isn't it bad enough that you and I are fires just because she gave us birth?
Stop it. I don't want you to talk this way.
You and I can see her. Have you seen her?
Of course I haven't.
I have. Shall I tell you why I didn't come to the funeral? I was with her, that's why. She came to my room and stood in the door. She was very beautiful. She had on her white lace dress, and she smiled at me.
You were drunk.
She didn't mind. She just smiled. But then her smile grew wider and wider till the whole room was filled with her smile. It took away the sunshine. I tell you, Una.
Peter, oh, Lord. Come in. Peter, are you all right? Come in. The door's not locked. Oh, Marie.
Yes. I thought he'd be here. Oh, don't try to move him. Let him sleep it off.
He's just drunk.
He's been drunk for days. Let him lie there.
But just before you got here, he was trying to tell me that he saw our mother, that she came to his room.
Only the damp fires can see a vampire.
You made him believe it.
Because it's true. And Una, there's something else that's true, and you'd best know it. Only a damp fire can kill a vampire.
Kill?
The best the others can do is try to protect ourselves with the blackthorn and the wild roses and all that.
I will not listen.
There is something you can do. You could help us to protect ourselves.
Marie, I just don't believe in this superstitious...
You don't. But we do. Nobody's slept a wink since the day she died. Oh, they know she'll go after us first, but no one in the village is really safe.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Move the body across the river.
What for, in God's name?
Wanda Beresti says it's very difficult for a vampire to cross over water.
I don't believe any of this. I don't believe it's happening.
Well, it's happening, all right. And everyone believes it, but you... You can't make the rest of us live in this torment because you refuse to believe.
You could be right.
You will move the body across the river?
Oh, I'll have to talk to Father.
Oh, talk to him. Talk to him now. Before it's too late.
I left Marie to get Peter home the best way she could, and I started off for my father's house. How could I ask him to disinter the body of his beloved wife only 2 days after she'd been laid to rest? What kind of daughter would nourish the horrid thought in her father's mind that his wife might be a vampire? Oh, how I needed someone to tell me what to do.
Una.
Hello, Father. May I come in?
Of course you may come in. Oh, I'm so glad to see you.
You're all right, aren't you?
Yes, I'm all right. Una, can you stay for a little while?
As long as you like.
Oh, good. I could make a little supper if you could stay that long.
Father, Peter came to see me today.
Oh? How was he?
Drunk. But not so drunk that he couldn't say what he came to say.
And what was that?
That I had contaminated myself when I kissed my mother's mouth as she lay in her coffin.
Oh, my dear girl.
Do you believe that, Father?
Oh, my dear. I'm so confused.
You do believe it?
I don't know what to believe anymore.
And Marie came to see me, too.
Oh, yes? Well, what did she want?
Marie wants Mother's coffin moved to the other side of the river.
Oh, your mother is buried in the family plot. I promised her. Why does she want the body moved?
Marie says that To cross water is very hard for vampires. I could hardly bear the torment in my father's face. It's so hard when everyone around you believes one thing, to stand alone and believe another. I kissed my father gratefully. Grateful for his kindness, his patience. He asked me to stay the night. There was still my old room. I lay down on the narrow bed, but my eyes would not close. I stared at the black square I knew to be the window. Beyond the door, I could hear my father washing the supper dishes. Then I heard it. Very faint, but unmistakable. Someone tapping on the window pane. I lay rigid in the narrow bed. And then I heard...
Is that how a vampire sounds? I don't know, or I'd tell you. Half a century ago, a vampire was actually tried in a London court. A gentleman it was, by the name of George Haig. Unhappily, we have no record of the gentleman's voice, and it all happened so long ago, I've no idea whether or not he was ever convicted. I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
Breakfast in the morning, Kellogg's has that wholesome taste to get you up and grinning.
This is Jerry Coffer for Kellogg's Special K. You know, for years we've been talking about the Special K breakfast, a great way to start the day if you have a weight problem. You may have seen or heard our latest commercials, which symbolize the problem of being a few pounds overweight by using this ball and chain. That's the sound effect. But so many people have come to know the Special K breakfast that can help solve weight problems, they sometimes forget that Special K is America's favorite high-protein cereal. It has 8 essential vitamins and iron, and so delicious that lots of folks, kids as well as adults, eat Special K just for the sheer good taste of it. So we don't want you to think that you have to wear a ball and chain to eat Special K. All you need is an appreciation for the finer things of life, a 1-ounce bowl of Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, coffee, and maybe a little sugar. The Special K breakfast can help you lose weight all by itself, but it really is a good start.
Here's news from Queen Elizabeth II. Now you can sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly home free. I'll repeat that. Sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly back to New York free. She reaches Europe in 5 luxurious days. You have ample time for touring because you fly back. Meals and entertainment on board are included. A whole new crowd of people are discovering Queen Elizabeth II because she's affordable. And she's 4 swimming pools, 3 nightclubs, a discotheque, a gymnasium, a sauna, a casino, and 3 of the finest restaurants in the world. Sail first class grades A to H and fly home free. Sail tourist grades L to Q and S to U and fly home half fare. Flights are British Airways economy. You can stay in Europe up to 16 days. Call your travel agent or Cunard at 212-983-2510. Sail to Europe on Queen Elizabeth II and fly home free. Great ships of British registry since 1840.
No matter what you're saving for, that's what Suburban Savings for Suburban.
Suburban Savings offers you an easy way to borrow without touching a penny in your regular savings passbook account. Just let Suburban loan you the money. It's called Suburban Savings Passbook Loan. You can borrow up to 90% of the total amount you have on deposit at reasonable rates, and you can pay off your loan at your convenience. When your loan is repaid, you still have all of your savings intact, plus interest. So if you need money, why not take a loan from Suburban without touching your savings? Suburban Savings Passbook Loan in New Jersey at Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
From the bed and ran to the window. There was no moon, but the stars were very bright. Bright enough so that the trees cast wavering shadows on the grass.
Oh, no!
And then I saw her beneath a poplar tree just outside the window, dressed in white lace, her long hair falling to her waist. She lifted her face to the window, and by the light of the stars I saw it. Not hideous, not obscene, no, beautiful as it had been in life, but transfigured now by such appalling grief as I had never seen before. The dark eyes staring, the cheeks glistening with tears, the mouth stretched wide as it cried. I needed my father. I could not bear the sight of this apparition by myself. I heard him moving about in the kitchen, and I ran to him. Father! Father! She's here!
What, dear? What did you say?
She's here! Mother is here!
Is she?
No. She's beautiful. She's beautiful.
Where is she?
Outside the window. I heard her calling me, and I went to the window, and I saw her standing under the tree, and... Oh, Father... She looked so sad.
Oh, my dear little girl, you've had a dream.
It's not a dream. She's there.
So soon after the funeral, it's natural for you to dream.
Oh, come with me. I'll show you.
You're overwrought, dear child.
Come with me, you'll see. If there were a moon, you'd see quite clearly, but even by the starlight, you can see. Look there.
Where? I don't see her.
Beneath the big poplar tree, right there.
I don't see anything.
In her white dress. Look at her.
I can't see anything. Nothing but the grass and a few shadows. That's all.
That's all?
Oh, my dear child, you had a dream.
No dream. I saw her. But you can't see her. She must be a vampire, and I am a fire.
What are you saying?
Only the offspring of a vampire can see the vampire. Peter said he saw her. I know I saw her. We are her offspring, Peter. And I are vampires.
Oh, no, please, you don't know what you're saying.
Oh, I know very well. Only a vampire can see a vampire. And only a vampire can kill a vampire. Well, then,
What are you doing, Ona?
Gonna open this window?
No, don't.
And invite her in. Mother, come in. Come in. Your daughter is waiting to receive you. My father rushed from the room.
I can't stay. I can't watch. I can't.
I stood by the window, waving to the white figure beneath the poplar tree. It was several minutes before she moved, and then very slowly, with uncertain steps, she came toward the window. She looked up at me like a child that is not certain of her welcome.
Una?
You've come back to live off of us, haven't you, Mother? Even in death, we are your possessions, your very prized possessions, because from us you drew pride and haughtiness and self-importance. That's what we did for you in life, and that's what you mean we should do for you now. That's it. Isn't it, Mother?
Una, no. Forgive.
Forgive?
What went before. Forgive it.
Forgive? I've never heard you say that word.
Now I say it. Forgive me. All that I did. I beg of you, forgive me all my sins.
Father was right. This is a dream.
Forgive me, that I may lie quiet in my grave.
Oh, God, let me wake up. God, deliver me from this dream.
You don't hear me. Oh, Una, why don't you hear me?
Perhaps I fainted. I don't know. I suppose I did, because I remember nothing more until I was wakened by a knock on the door. I opened my eyes. I was lying on the floor next to the narrow bed, and the sun was streaming through the window. I got to my feet. Come in, Father. Ilya.
Are you all right, Una?
Yes, I'm all right.
You look so pale.
Oh, I had a bad night, a bad dream.
Yes, your father told me.
My father? He went to fetch you. That's why you're here?
I would have come back to you anyway. I only went to see my mother to ask her what she knows about vampires. All the old women were there. Wanda Baresti and all the others.
Oh, they must have filled you full of stories.
Una, when a whole town believes that a vampire is loose, they become terrified. A vampire, Una, is soulless, mindless energy on the march, knowing neither good nor evil, only its own desires. And the vampire must be killed, Una. Do you know why? Lest we become like the vampire. We can become like that, Una, unless a stake is driven through the vampire's heart.
And who is to do that?
You know.
Only a fire can kill a vampire.
A stake must be driven through the throat of the corpse. If blood spurts from the throat, it is proof that a vampire lived in that body.
Can I do such a thing to my own mother's corpse?
It must be done before the sun sets, or she'll walk abroad tonight.
Ilya, do you know that I thought she was here last night? In this very room? And she kept saying, "Forgive. Forgive." And then, of course, I knew it was a dream, because my mother would never say such a thing as forgive.
She was asking you to forgive her?
Imagine a proud woman like my mother to say a thing like that.
You heard her say, "Forgive me"?
In my dream, yes. I suppose it's because I hated her so much in life. I liked the idea that she was sorry for all the grief she'd caused us.
Una, listen. While I was at my mother's house, she told me that there had been cases now and then where a person returned night after night and terrified everyone because it was taken for granted that that one had become a vampire. But it wasn't always true. There were times when that one was what they call a returner.
A returner? What is that?
One who comes back, so my mother says, to ask forgiveness.
Are you telling me that my mother did come back last night, asking to be forgiven? That it was no dream?
It's possible, isn't it?
And if it is true, if she is a returner?
You must get a writ of absolution from the bishop and place it on her body.
How can I tell? How can I know that she is a returner and not a vampire?
You'll have to go through with it before sundown.
Oh, no. No. Drive a stake through my own mother's throat.
Una, more than half the village believes your mother has become a vampire. Marie wants you to move her body across the river.
And even my father is wearing the blackthorn in his coat.
Even I. When I heard the bat in the rafters, I thought it might be your mother. You must have the grave opened, Una, and the coffin. And before the sun goes down, you must drive the stake into your mother's throat. Then we shall see whether she is a returner or that foul creature of the night, a vampire.
Ilya himself uncovered it open. I told my father what I meant to do before the sun went.
If you must, my daughter. If you think you must.
If she is really a vampire, Father, only I can do it. And I went to Peter and Marie.
You wouldn't ask me to do it, Una.
No, I wouldn't ask you, Peter.
You're very brave, Una. I'd have been content if you'd only moved her body across the river.
There's so much talk in the village. So much fear, so much horror. We must settle this thing once and for all. I went from house to house, telling everyone to be by the graveside just before sunset. They looked at me with pity, some of them, others with revulsion. But all promised to be there, and so it happened. I wish to thank you all for coming here. You all know of the belief that is spread through our village. Many of you share in it. My own family leans toward it. The belief that the body of the woman who lies here is not a corpse, but the shell that houses a vile and loathsome being, a vampire. That this vampire threatens the lives of all of us, and the sanity, the spirit, and the soul of any who escape with their lives. Listen, I have here a stake. The sun is setting. While there is still a little light, I shall drive this stake through my mother's throat. If blood gushes forth, then I shall have killed a vampire. I shall also have murdered my mother. If no blood comes from the body, we will know that she is no more than a returner who is asking forgiveness for the wrong she did in life. As we all one day will have to ask for forgiveness for the wrong we have done.
Yes.
Pray for me. Pray for me. Pray for yourselves. And if you can give her your forgiveness, the bishop will give her absolution. I hold the stake high for all of you to see. And now! There is no blood. Go. Send for the bishop. It's over. I've done it. And the mutilated body of my mother lies at my feet. Oh, let her release come soon.
I'll be back shortly.
Hi, Ms. Goldilocks here. Professionally, taste testing diet drinks can be very difficult, but I've just had to bear with it. Then I found sugar-free Diet 7-Up. It doesn't taste like other diet drinks. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up tastes so good that I've taste tested it hundreds of times, and each time I've given it my seal of approval. Yes, this one's just right.
If you thought you couldn't afford to fly to California this summer, TWA has some good news for you. You can. Thanks to TWA's demand schedule service, you can fly to California for only $125. Just make your reservations 90 days before you want to go and put down a $20 deposit for each way. For all the details, call your travel agent. TWA's demand schedule service. Now you can afford to fly to California.
Tell me frankly, wouldn't you like to sleep every night on a $100 mattress? Suppose you could get one for just $69. Why envy friends who sleep in luxury when Huffman Coos has just what you want at such a tremendous reduction? This fair-traded Stearns & Foster famous label bedding has never been on sale before. Now Huffman Coos has it exclusively at this special down-to-earth price. Why such a big reduction? Because of soaring costs. This $100 Stearns & Foster beauty has been discontinued. Huffman Coos bought the entire inventory to bring you this $69 twin-size price. Full-size mattresses or box springs, originally $120. are now just $89 each. Queen size sets complete, $219. King size sets complete, just $319. So go to Huffman Coos at once. No more when these are gone. Tell them we sent you. You'll be glad we did.
Our cast included Marion Seldes, Bryna Rayburn, William Johnston, and William Redfield. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The preceding Mystery Theater program was furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
Judiciary Committee purports to be narrowing the scope of its impeachment inquiry. I'm Fulton Lewis in the Mutual Broadcasting System studios in Washington, D.C. My commentary after this.
What has Sheridan done for you lately? What has Sheridan done for you now?
Next time you travel to Canada for business or pleasure, you'll find 20 sparkling Sheraton hotels and motor inns, coast to coast, from Quebec to British Columbia.
What has Sheridan done for you lately?
In Toronto, the new Four Seasons Sheraton has a 5-story waterfall right in the lobby. In Vancouver, there are 2 new Sheratons. And for a reservation at any Sheraton, call 800-325-3535 or have your travel agent call. That's 800-325-3535.
That's what Sheridan's done for you lately. That's what Sheridan's done for you now.
Sheraton Hotels and Motor Inns worldwide.
The House Impeachment Inquiry staff reported today that it is concentrating its investigation on the major Watergate allegations and President Nixon's tax problems. The staff reported to the House Judiciary Committee that it is halting its inquiries into 15 of the 56 original allegations against the president. In each of the 15 cases, the staff said, either there is no substantial evidence known to the staff that supports an allegation of wrongdoing, or the evidence is insufficient to justify devoting the resources required to complete a thorough investigation. New Jersey Democrat Representative Peter Rodino, the chairman of the committee, emphasized that the final decision on dropping any allegation will be up to the committee members themselves. During today's 2.5-hour meeting, the committee also voted 34-4 to give the White House 5 additional days to respond to a subpoena for tapes of 42 presidential conversations. The White House response was put off until 10 a.m. next Tuesday. Most of the items set aside by the staff include allegations that presidential friends and big campaign contributors receive special favored treatment from government agencies. Also halted was the investigation of possible impeachable conduct in connection with the president's refusal to spend appropriated funds and his attempt to shut down the Office of Economic Opportunity without prior congressional approval. The report said the staff is continuing its probe of allegations stemming from a $100,000 campaign contribution from billionaire Howard Hughes, a $200,000 cash contribution from financier Robert Vesco, contributions from the dairy industry, and a pledge from ITT to help underwrite the 1972 Republican Convention. Much of the discussion at today's meeting involved the staff's plans to examine allegations that criminal fraud may have been committed in the preparation of the president's income tax returns. Both the Congressional Joint Committee on Internal Revenue Taxation and the IRS itself have declared that the president incorrectly prepared his pre-presidential papers. Both the committee and the IRS said that as a result of the disallowed deduction for those papers, as well as other disallowed items, the president owed more than $450,000 in additional taxes. The president, of course, has said that he will make that payment. The impeachment inquiry staff noted today that the Joint Committee made no investigation whether or not there was criminal tax fraud for which the president may be responsible. Such an investigation is underway by the Special Watergate Prosecutor's Office, but the impeachment staff said today it is likely to be prolonged and its result will not be available to the House Judiciary Committee under the committee's contemplated timetable. John Doerr, the chief counsel for the House impeachment inquiry, said the investigation of the president's taxes would concentrate on the gift of his presidential papers, but he emphasized investigation of tax fraud is a very complicated matter. Doerr said that he intends to ask the Internal Revenue Service for a copy of its report on the president's taxes. Another allegation stemming from secret U.S. bombing raids in Cambodia between March of 1969 and August of 1973 still remains under active consideration, at least until next week when the House Judiciary Committee hopes to obtain access to a Senate Armed Services Committee report regarding that bombing. Several committee Democrats indicated that they would strongly oppose any attempt to drop the Cambodian bombing issue from the allegations against the president. Massachusetts Democrat Representative Robert Drinan asked Doerr if he intended to subpoena White House tapes of conversations about the bombing between the president and members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Doerr said no decision had been made as yet. Reverend Drinan said also said that he opposes halting the investigation into impoundment and the OEO shutdown. The Judiciary Committee staff said that it had reviewed more than 50 court decisions challenging the administration's authority to refuse to spend appropriated funds. While in many cases the courts did rule against the administration, the staff said it found no basis at all for listing impoundment as an impeachable offense. It made a similar determination in the case of the Office of Economic Opportunity, in which a federal judge in Washington also ruled that the administration had acted illegally. Here are some of the issues that are still under active investigation. Domestic surveillance activities alleged to have been conducted by or at the direction of the White House, political intelligence and espionage activities during the 1972 presidential campaign, of course the Watergate break-in and the subsequent cover-up, allegations that contributions to the president's re-election campaign were given in exchange for special ambassadorships, allegations that the White House attempted to use the Federal Communications Commission to control and retaliate against news media criticism, allegations that the White House attempted to use the Internal Revenue Service to harass political enemies. Among those on which investigation has been halted were allegations of White House involvement in illegal campaign contributions received from corporate funds and allegations concerning illegal campaign contributions from foreign nationals and from labor unions. Also, allegations that the White House caused friends of the president to be given favored treatment by the controller of the currency who was involved in the regulation of national banks. In addition, an allegation that the Antitrust Division of the Justice Department dropped an investigation of a corporation that is owned by a friend of the president. And finally, allegations of attempts to obtain campaign contributions in return for promises of assistance with the Federal Housing Administration. Most of the items the committee staff is concentrating on also have been under investigation for many months by the Special Prosecutor's Office. Several former administration and presidential campaign officials are, of course, under indictment in connection with the Watergate cover-up and the break-in at the office of Daniel Ellsberg's psychiatrist. Now it seems the lines are drawn and the next move is going to be up to the White House. President Nixon now has until next Tuesday morning to respond to the Judiciary Committee's subpoena of a wide range of until now secret White House tapes and documents. One of the arguments used by the president's attorney, James St. Clair, in balking at the House panel's request earlier has been that the House Judiciary Committee's inquiry has been too broad, too undefined, and there is no reason, no legal ground, and indeed it would set a dangerous precedent if that committee were allowed to go fishing through executive branch files. With that argument, I think there can be little dispute. Under traditional concepts of American justice, particularly as defined and refined by the Fifth Amendment to our Constitution, no branch of government is empowered to simply walk in and search willy-nilly through records as a means of determining whether something is or is not wrong. The purpose of the search, be it a physical search or a search by subpoena, must be fairly clearly defined first, and there must be a reasonable belief that there has been a specific violation of a specific law. Until today, it was not known just what the House Judiciary Committee was going after, what violation of law, what high crime or misdemeanor it was considering in the case of Richard Nixon.